I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Type 22 if you can hear the microphone fine. Make sure we're not having any technical difficulties.
Right. That would prevent us from doing an amazing stream.
We are in the midst of a very, very important 2-day
Sabaton.
not Sabaton. Sabotage.
Excuse me, Savatage. As Vinny calls it.
It's called the Streets Rock Opera, I think is the name of the full album. And so where we last left our fearless hero, basically our hero is a drug dealer from New York. He joins a band, he gets big, he becomes a drug addict, falls out of fame, then claws his way back, but then the time that he had where he was kind of like out of fame, you know, the dirty deeds that he did when he was on the street because he was out of fame, he was an addict. Well, he became a rock star again, but his past came back to haunt him. There's an altercation. One of his best friend dies as a result of this altercation. So obviously because of that, he's got issues with God and he's got issues with himself. And that's where we left off. The next song is entitled New York City Don't Mean Nothing.
Okay.
Last night's stream is unavailable. Will eventually get posted. Did we get anything blocked?
I did not look at that.
Okay. Send an email later on tonight. We'll see about getting them posted, bumped up and posted entirety for you so we can put them out back to back. We'll see. If it got blocked, then there's other things that we have to do to get the stream released. But if it didn't get blocked, and I don't think we used any official videos yesterday.
No, but sometimes...
What is it? Is it just ineligible?
I'm refreshing so I can...
We're checking right now to see what the status is, Mojo.
You got blocked.
Yeah, so one of those songs got blocked, so we're going to have to work on getting that particular song. That's going to come in the email. Don't worry about it.
Well, it does. It usually does it here in the summary.
Okay, let's see how many songs. It was only one.
One. You're Alive. That song is what got us blocked.
Okay, so I'll work on getting that unblocked, and then once we get that unblocked, maybe we'll be able to make it happen. Shout out to CEB Applejack. What's good, buddy? Gang, gang. Good to see you. All right, guys.
Okay.
New York City ain't nothing. We have a little preview.
So this is what Mojo, our DJ, has to say about this. Okay, so where we left off in part 1, DT has returned to the streets, reeling from the guilt of the death of his friend Tex. He is struggling to make sense of the new reality he finds himself in, and the temptation to surrender to the comfort of his addictions is strong. In my intro to part 1, I alluded to the fact that the narration of this story changes in part 2. This is the point where the record stops sounding like a rock opera and starts sounding like a soundtrack to a movie you're watching. It's also the point where the plot of the story starts to get a little lost. Be that as it may, the songs in part 2 are still amazing songs on their own, but I will try to provide some context for the rest of the songs according to the story in the linear notes of the record. If someone were to listen to these songs without knowing the context of the storyline that was provided in the linear notes, they'd have no idea that they were part of a larger work. The next 2 songs are sung from the perspective of people DT encounters on the streets: a homeless man, a pimp, a drug addict, and a prostitute. They offer advice, but no real answers. So track 10, New York City Don't Mean Nothing, is next. For all of my Beatles fans who attend these streams, and I'm looking at you, Dwayne, there is a Beatles Easter egg in this song. John Olivia is a huge Beatles fan.
Oh, no!
It's not hidden. It's plain as day, and if you miss it, turn in your Beatles superfan card immediately. And because I'm such a nice guy, I'll give you a hint, even though I don't think it's necessary. The Easter egg is not a song lyric.
The Easter egg is not a song
Is
lyric.
Dwayne here
I don't know.
to help us? We need your help.
I'm not sure. Okay. All right. Well, let's check it out. New York City Don't Mean Nothing. Well, if it's not in the song lyric, then it must be something in the instruments, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if I would.
Must be a particular guitar lick.
Or maybe it's something
or
that people are
progression.
wearing. Or...
New York City Don't Mean Nothing. Let's do this shit.
I've been here since 81, that's a long time. I see all the rest to see. Had a space, unasked a place, had it all once.
I like his voice.
Now these streets, my reality. Because New York City don't mean nothing. It's just a good place when you're running. Lights they cut so bright, make you bleed. Neon children live their lives there. Mad magicians, tense or nightmares. Still you know I'm never gonna leave.
Whoa.
Oh. That was unexpected.
Gangster.
Never sleep alone on the subway. Never walk alone the tracks. Never take a ride to the edge of your mind unless you got
Let's go.
New York City don't mean nothing. It's just a good place when you're running. Still, you know I'm never gonna leave.
Okay. That was a good song.
Yeah. Very interesting. The copy that I have is it going on for another minute. I don't know what's going on with that. But okay. Really strong song one. Holy smokes. New York City don't mean nothing. What do you got?
Well, it's very interesting because I always so when I was in college, we would take trips to New York City, and I remember seeing people change. Like they were one way at college and then they were another way when they got to New York. And I didn't like the transformation that the people would have when they would go there. And maybe it's because I come from a smaller town. Like New York City was cool to look at, but I didn't feel like, whoa, this is unbelievable and I want to live here. Right. I didn't mind visiting, but there was way too many things about the city that the glitz and the glam wasn't really for me when I'm walking down the street and I smell the nasty alleys and when I'm riding on the subway and I have to touch that bar and it's so nasty, one touch makes your hands feel that way.
Just don't think about what you're doing.
Yeah. There was just too many things like that. And then, people, this was the first time in my life I ever had doors just closed in my face. That never happened to me.
Why? What happened?
I think you live in a small town, and so
why were people closing the door in your face?
I think because everybody's so busy, they don't even think to open the door for a woman behind them.
Yeah,
they just go through the door, and then the door, literally the door hit me because I didn't expect that. I was like, "What the heck?" And my friend was like, "Oh yeah, people don't open doors here. You can open your own door." I was like, "What?" Okay, but yeah. So when I saw how the girls would be to me kind of regular chill girls, and then when they would get to the city there was this obsession with their appearance, their outfits, their body type, their body style, their hair, everything became really stressful. And I didn't understand. I still don't understand what was going on, because the city to me was who's gonna notice you?
I know.
I mean,
I know.
Really?
I know.
If you came to my town and you were all fixed up like that, you would get noticed. But you're not noticed here. Nobody's noticed here. So I didn't understand that. So yeah, to me, when he says, where did he say? Because New York City don't mean nothing. It's just a place when you're running, lights that cut so bright they make you bleed. That to me that's how I saw New York. I saw lots of homeless people on the side of the road, lots of people just rushing past them. It was cold. I don't like stuff that feels unfriendly, and it felt very unfriendly. Like I said, it was a fun place to visit and go around and see the sights and whatever, but it wasn't. I can see how if you were running, it would be a good place to kind of blend into the crowd, but
yeah, but again, New York, especially at that time period, New York and LA functioned as that's where you would go to get your big break.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the interesting thing about millennials is that New York City and LA are not as important anymore, because you can become something from your own home with a camera, and you'll have have access to, it's like I was telling you, more people have seen us and have seen Clark Gable, which is ridiculous. But so those used to be the only two places you could go if you wanted to make it as a personality.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course that led to a lot of, taking advantage of kids, Skid Row.
Oh,
forcing kids into prostitution, all that kind of stuff, because
Skid
you got
Row?
all these young,
Isn't there a band?
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are you talking about? What was Skid Row?
Well, it's a specific area in New York. It's a very terrible area. It's downtown by Okay. No, I don't think Skid Row's in New York, actually. I think Skid Row is in, Hell's Kitchen is in New York. Skid Row, I think, is in LA. So anyway, either way, you had, both of those cities would attract people because LA is obviously the movie thing, and then New York has Madison Avenue. It's very influential. I don't think, like I said, this character, it was the strangest thing. I'm following this person on YouTube, and she basically said, I have to do YouTube. She's like, either YouTube or basically she's going to jump off a bridge or whatever.
What? Why?
Because she doesn't want to work a regular job.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so she's like, YouTube has to work. And then there's all these people underneath it saying, yeah, exactly the same thing. I was like, holy shit. Like,
What's her channel?
She's got like 850 followers. I'm not going to mention who she is on air because she says a lot of terrible stuff because she's trying to get attention.
Oh.
Which is how I ended up following her. But it's just crazy. Like, the mindset is different. Like, I still think that's a horrible mindset, but I think it's better than I'm going to, you know, jump on a bus and go all the way to LA, have no friends, no family, and I'm going to be a waiter and then I'm going to make it big and famous. Mm-hmm. You know, that doesn't happen to 99% of the people that end up in those situations. So, but now the other side of it is that he's completely disillusioned now because he lost his friend. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Well, I've been here since 81. That's a long time, and I've seen all there is to see. Had a space in Astor Place. Had it, well, now the streets are my reality. Astor Place is a pretty expensive place to live over there in New York City. Hey, Michelle!
That's her husband.
Who?
Michelle's husband.
Which one?
Michelle's husband is speaking close to her account.
Oh, okay. This is D. What's good, Devin? Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, then he starts saying stuff like, never sleep alone on the subway. I can see why. Never walk alone on the tracks. Never take a ride to the edge of your mind unless you've got a ticket back. Uh-huh. Which I think is really fascinating considering like the, again, the Yoon stuff. Thank you, honey. The Yoon stuff comes up, you know? Yeah. So you're like, oh, okay. Because if you dig too far into your subconscious, but I just think that it could be a little tricky if you're not like wanting to learn something, but you're just like, you know how sometimes people will, sometimes they're trying to get over something or whatever. They'll overthink about something that's super not good for them. They don't have enough like people supporting them to be able to dig into some tragedy or whatever that happened to them. Yeah. And so I kind of think that that's what he means. Like, never take a ride to the edge of your mind unless you have a ticket back, because maybe the edge of his mind is thinking through all of the line, like what we talked about the last time where his friend got killed. But the reason that his friend got killed was he had debts that he didn't pay. And when the guy came and said, hey, you owe us, instead of saying, yeah, you know what, you're right.
Although I will say that Mojo is saying he's not sure that this is written from DT's perspective.
Oh, really?
Remember he said there was some
that's right.
plot,
he was going to meet other people.
There were some plot issues in this thing because this guy just seems kind of almost randomly introduced if it's not Devin.
Yeah, well, he did say that he was going to meet a couple of different people. Right. Remember, he said that he was going to meet. The next two songs are sung from the perspective of people DT encounters on the streets: a homeless man, a pimp, a drug addict, and a prostitute. So I guess this would be the homeless man?
Yeah, this is,
okay.
He says they offer advice but no real answers.
Okay.
So never sleep alone on the subway, never walk alone on the tracks, just take a ride to the edge of your mind unless you have a ticket back. I will say, though, people seem to be a lot crazier in New York. And maybe it's just the raw math, like the more compact it is, the more the chances of, are crazy. But just really weird stuff. And when I first got there, there were, like my teacher in Florida told me one time, it's funny, that she was like, it was the dead heat of summer in August, and she pulls into this elevator, and there's like this 6'2" transvestite in a real wool coat. It was like 100 degrees, and like,
why? I wonder why.
The 6'2" transvestite with like just stuff that you're like, yo,
that doesn't make any sense.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, that's commitment to the craft, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, you do see people. I don't know. It lends toward like losing your mind. Like, there's an actual like diagnosable issue in Israel I forgot what it's called. It's a certain kind of delusion where when people touch down in Israel, they believe that they're the incarnation of like one of the prophets.
What?
Like it's a real thing. Like, so you go to Israel, to walk where Jesus walked or whatever, and then people get this sort of crazy psychological thing where they think that they're a prophet and they're a reincarnation of a prophet. And
Like,
they
how
truly,
often does that happen?
like, enough for it to be a diagnosable issue. It's like this weird religious mania that happens when people land in Israel. So
That's so weird.
So part of me does feel like, there is something to like certain places making you crazier than others in certain ways.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first came to New York, like everything I saw was just mind-boggling to me. And then like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years later, I'm sitting in the situation and there's like a naked woman being dragged around on a leash. And I was like, oh yeah, like,
Yeah, you told me.
you know what I'm
that's so
saying? Like
weird,
just and which is crazy. Like, that's a crazy mindset to have.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that I was, 15 years younger than Dorian.
It's so crazy.
I was younger than Dorian when I was at that club, seeing that shit. So, like, but I was like, obviously, I was like, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe this is legal. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like,
no kidding. Yeah, but
yeah, it was pretty crazy.
As you're saying, it would be crazy enough to see something like that, the fact that that's happening. But when you get to the point where you're just like, I mean, that's even crazier.
Yeah, it's hard to explain,
20 or 30 seconds or something, and a fork, please.
It's hard to explain, but yeah. It was the city does make you almost have to like adopt a certain kind of mania yourself to to maintain your stasis, because there's a lot of things that are going on at the same time, like all at the same time, like that's happening, but then there's safety issues. There's always somebody trying to hustle you. There's always somebody trying to do this and that. Mm-hmm. You have to be cognizant of what neighborhood you're in. So my point is like these things that are massive novelties to regular people when you're from New York, like you're almost, it's kind of like what Hoffman says about evolution. Like we're evolution, evolution is gonna bias us toward fitness payoffs. It's not gonna bias us towards seeing reality as it is, right? So you quickly realize that if you look at these novelty items and novelty people and you get distracted by them, you're either going to miss your train, you're going to get robbed, something's going to happen, right? So then your mind starts adjusting and saying, yep, that's crazy, and then you just move on because you have so many other things that you have to balance out.
Oh my gosh.
You see what I'm saying? And so because of that, you become a certain kind of crazy yourself, where the window to what you will do in a public environment shifts, right? Like for me, like when I first came to New York, like the concept of getting in a physical altercation, like I never worried about the authorities. I was always like, hey, if I win, I win, I lose, I lose. And then a couple years later, when we were about to have a conflict with some dudes, like I wasn't even worried about them. I was worried about the authorities because it changed. We changed. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't about like, oh, I can match up with this guy. I took X years of boxing and taekwondo. Now it was just like, who had the better plan?
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So your mind, changes over time in New York, and it does kind of affect how you.
Wow, that's wild.
How you deal with.
I think that's another thing that's kind of like creepy, or I don't know. That's probably not the right word about the city. Is just that there's so many people scheming.
Right.
And like I didn't understand because like there was a lot of like those like vendors on the street. I thought that was so fascinating. I wanted to go down and look at all the different things. My friend was like, no.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why, because honestly, I did not feel like she had more street smarts than me, but I think she did.
She did. I took you to that thing when I was going to the embassy.
Yeah.
The guy said, I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
What happened? I don't remember.
The guy went to talk to you about taking a picture, some shit like that. He was just trying to get his extra $5, but yeah, man. Here we go.
Like this one. This one was interesting. The first half of the song was like I really, really,
Ah,
really, really
Dwayne,
like that
you
one.
missed it. You
Dwayne,
missed it, Dwayne.
no. We just got done listening to and reacting to New York City Don't Mean Nothing, and Mojo had a little note for you. He said, for all my Beatles fans who attend these streams, I'm looking at you, Dwayne. There's a Beatles Easter egg in this song. John Olivia is a huge Beatles fan. It's not hidden. It's plain as day. And if you miss it, turn in your Beatles superfan card immediately. And because I'm such a nice guy, I'll give you a hint, though. It was in. He said it wasn't in the lyrics. I don't know what I was like. Is it that little middle section where it was like the guitar got all crazy? I was like,
I don't know.
Right here?
I don't know. So it was something relative to Eleanor Rigby.
Yeah, we needed you here, and you were late.
Also, when a skinny, jittery woman holding a crack pipe offers to give you money to take her somewhere, roll up your window and drive away. You know, that didn't really happen to me a lot. That really didn't happen to me a lot. You know why? Because I always had some bad bitch right here. I always had a bad bitch right there. Okay. This was a 9.7 for me, coming out strong again.
Yeah.
Coming out strong again.
9.7.
Freaking Mojo. This is the most underrated band of all time. I love it.
They really are. That's so disappointing.
I don't understand how like
don't know.
the singer and the guitarist themselves, like I don't understand how everybody's not talking about these people. Yo, whoever was a publicist for this band, you should be fired, bro. Honestly, wallahi, we should fire you, bro. Honestly.
Yeah, but you remember what happened?
Huh?
They had bad managers at the beginning.
I
They didn't
know.
have any of their money. It's like,
And they
what?
stay having bad managers, bro. What the hell is wrong with these people? Hey, Sabotage, come to me for a small fee. We will review your song. Anyway, we
For
guys
less than DT's debt.
This is just the beginning. Sit back, relax. We got the rest of
Ghost in
Streets,
Ruins
the
in
rock
the Ruins
opera coming through. Ghost in the Ruin is next. Then out.
Sorry out.
Gone. Okay, guys, commercial break. We'll be right back. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of Alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull
You
that
can
off.
also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord,
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
and they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them. That's okay. Thank you. All right. Huh? Okay. We are doing the SAVATAGE live stream for the big homie Mojo. He is our DJ today. If you want to know how to become one of our DJs, watch the commercial.
I don't think it actually tells you how to be a DJ in the commercial because
Oh, really?
that was shot before we even invented DJ streams.
Okay. That's true. I apologize.
All right, guys, here we
All right,
go.
Ghost in the Ruins is track 11, which is up next. Our DJ Mojo said this song has probably been my favorite of Chris's solos on the album. One of the things that has continually stood out about this band is that even though they've had some of the most capable rock and metal lead guitar players in the world playing in the band, even after Chris's death, they never felt the need to shoehorn a guitar solo into a song just because. If a song called for a solo, it got one. If a song didn't serve the song, if a solo didn't serve the song, it was not put in. That's the way it should be. Both
Agreed.
John and Chris wear their influences on their sleeves and with no apologies. In the first part of this solo, Chris is without a doubt channeling David Gilmour. Do you know who that is?
The
Thank
Pink
you.
Floyd. As if you're asking me that question while you have a Pink Floyd shirt on. That's Pink Floyd.
I know, but I didn't. Oh, you found it.
Unbelievable.
Good, Dorian.
Unbelievable, this woman.
Rude.
And she's your guys' favorite. Ridiculous. I should be the favorite.
Nobody ever said I was their
Oh,
favorite.
please. Anytime I show up without you, that's the first thing people say. They'd be like, "Hey, we're sorry."
Yeah, and you
what-
think if I show up without
where's
you,
the-
they wouldn't say, "Where's Vin?"
Yeah, no. They talk to you. They have the whole thing. There's
Yeah.
one time I was gone for half an hour and they were talking to me just fine. Stop. I'm by myself for 2 seconds. They're like, "Hey, Vin, we're sorry."
Please, babe, you come
It'll
out
be-
here for hours.
It'll
and
be an
hours.
ask me anything. Where's sorry? That'll be the question.
That's
on
the
ask me
question.
anything. Yeah.
Well, I'm your other half. I'm your better half.
You're my second self. Okay. Sabotage. Ghost in the Ruins. Let's go. See, Dwayne even admits it.
Even
though
after I gave it a
You gave
3.5?
the Beatles a 3.5. Look, you get away with absolute bloody murder here. It's like you are the Trump of this channel.
That's so bad.
Unbelievable.
The Trump?
Just get away
That's
with
what-
everything.
That's what got Ben to hate me.
That's true.
So don't even bring up Trump.
That's true.
You know, to be honest with you, I am a
and
little
now,
bit sad.
And now poor Ben is here, but under a different name because he embarrassed himself. He said he'd never watch us again, but now he has to show up under a different name.
Do you think he's here?
Huh?
You think he's here?
Oh, he's here right now. Hi, Ben. You're a secret safe with me, buddy.
Hi, Ben.
This is your dignity. Okay, here we go. Ghost in the Ruin, Savatage, Streets, a rock opera list.
Yeah, let's check this out.
Oh, I love that setting.
Wayne. That's nice.
Got a limousine, I wanna show it. The future's looking good, I'll probably blow it. Had some parents, wasn't you never know?
Damn, yo, this band is ridiculous, dude. This band is ridiculous, bro. Oh my
Man,
god.
I really liked the beginning of it. The whole thing was really good.
I love that setting, that flange setting. The first time I discovered that setting on my Digitech distortion pedal, everything was in that, bro. I was like, yes,
Really?
look how pretty this sounds. Yeah! Brings a tear to your eye. Man. Damn,
I thought you were gonna
damn.
say that's how you got the bad bitches by your side. Was that setting?
No. The bad bitches were in New York City. They didn't care about my guitar playing. You kidding me? Keep
They
that
would have
shit.
if you would have showed it to them.
You don't really want that gunplay, huh?
I think they would have if you would have showed it to them.
I wouldn't have showed it to them. I didn't have time to practice. Well, no, actually. But that was well before I got my guitar, though, when I was running around.
Oh, okay. All right, so this one...
What
okay.
the hell are you looking for? Can a young man make money anymore? Let my G tag down to the floor? Really doesn't matter just as long as I score? Can't my girl look better than yours? Can I have a bad bitch without no flaws? Come to see me. Actually. All right, let's go back to your
Wait
regularly
a minute,
scheduled
where was that
program.
going?
Back to our regularly scheduled program. Already in process, dear listener.
I wish we had some hip-hop heads that would finish that line. You always do that, and all of a sudden you're like, what?
All
Okay,
right.
so he said that in the next two songs, he was going to meet a couple different people. So he said a homeless man, a pimp, a drug addict, and a prostitute. Obviously, this is about a prostitute. Maybe a pimp also? Because it
think this guy
starts
might
out
be
being, they got the money, you know, got a limousine, I want to show it. Future's looking good, I'll
I think
probably
this is
blow
the
it.
pimp.
That's what I was thinking, the pimp. And then later on, we're talking, obviously, about the prostitute. So
Who am I
friggin'
fooling? I'm the
sad.
king of the ruins. But I'm doing well. I got dreams to sell tonight. Yeah, that's definitely a pimp.
Mm-hmm.
This is really interesting because
Wow,
it's
the two
setting
sides of that.
both the pimp and the prostitutes essentially as victims here. Because the pimp is a ghost in the ruin. Who can finish Finn's convoluted bars?
I can't even see what, like, my eyesight is not very good when I'm pregnant usually, so I can't see if that's a heart or if it's a tongue sticking out.
It's probably her knee or something like that.
It's a tongue.
Her knee.
Okay, so yeah,
So
that's
the
interesting.
pimp and the girl are
Because both of them are
ghosts
ghosts in the ruins. But he's creating a situation where I mean, if I had to be one of the two. Although, you know, obviously nobody wants to be, well, I don't think. Like, the way that they describe this prostitute, that's just so friggin' sad. But at the same time, like, you're the type of person that sells human beings.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Yeah.
that's you.
I forgot. I think it was Rachel Held Evans that prayed this prayer. She said, Lord, we pray for freedom for the enslaved and for the enslaver. And I remember that. And I remember being really offended by that. Then I was saying, well, I mean, yeah, you do that because you're enslaved to sin, right? So you're still a victim of your own, and, there's certain situations in which sin is its own punishment.
It's very true.
Receiving in their bodies a due penalty for their error. So, like,
Yeah.
there's some of that going on with the pimp. Like, he looks like he's on top of the world, but he himself
Babe,
is.
you are so funny to me.
Huh?
So you heard this woman praying, and you were offended by her prayer?
Oh, yeah. Like, what is this fucking.
Does that?
What do you mean?
I
I
mean,
didn't want any prayer or any forgiveness for enslavers.
yeah, I know, but I just, like, there's just some things that even if I would have felt that way, I would never have even let myself get to that point to think that I feel that way. Because, like, you're hearing someone's prayer and you're offended by their prayer. They're talking to God, not you.
Yeah, well, I don't want them to talk to God on behalf of those people. What?
Yeah, I get it. That makes sense.
I don't do the Christianity thing where I'm supposed to do X,
I
Y,
know,
and Z.
but that's
Like,
what's so funny.
I just tell God how I feel about shit. He basically said, "Yeah, just you'll figure it out one day. Don't worry about it."
How long did it take before you were like,
It took me years.
that's acceptable?
No, it took me years because something happened, and I was able. Actually, no, it was when we were in the gutter with those people, and we found that couple, that couple, remember, he was her pimp, and then
Yeah.
they were kind of together, but
Yeah.
he really wasn't. He was
Yeah.
pimping her out, and she was pregnant. She was about to have an abortion.
Yeah.
And, you know.
She didn't though. She kept that baby, and she is doing
kept
so
that baby.
good.
And like
That
him,
baby is her.
the guy couldn't
gift.
stay out of prison. That guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the line popped into my head when I realized, because I said to somebody, I'm like, he's just as trapped as she is. He can't get out of shit either, because everybody in the neighborhood knows him as that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's going to get a legitimate job. This guy's got a
Right.
high school diploma, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Oh,
So I'm like, he's just as fucked in this. And then that's when the line popped back into my head.
Really?
And then I said, oh, okay, well, now I understand. And that's how my relationship with God works, dear listener. I'm not recommending you try it at home, but if something doesn't make sense to me, I'm not going to pretend. I don't care how holy the moment is. I'm going to say, yo, this is bullshit, man.
All
Fuck
right.
them slavers.
All right.
So anyway, that's how I looked at it. But, you know,
This is what it reminded me of when you. It is acceptable. Dorian sent me that. It's just a meme. It is acceptable. That's how you felt. I guess you accepted that woman's prayer toward God.
that's
that's good.
but they're both, you know, they're both ruined individuals. But there's got to be another layer of ruination if you are a person who can take because a lot of the girls in the sex industry, people don't understand. They think it's like, you know, especially I always like when I hear neoliberals talk and they're like, we need to make prostitution completely legal, and then we can regulate it. It'll be safer for everybody. It's like they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Those people, and they live in this very simplistic world because they think they're looking at these relationships as business transactions. So the pimp is not really a pimp; he's a manager. She's, you know, just using sex. It's just another stream of income. Yada yada yada. What they don't realize is the vast majority of what you're calling a pimp is a dude that has convinced a harem of women that he's their boyfriend.
Yep.
That's what's happening. So a lot of these people with these laws and the way you can tell that they're only looking at this like from an outsider's perspective, that they've never really been in the gutter with these people. And you could tell they don't understand what the dynamics are, because then you have the bottom bitch, and the bottom bitch, really what that means is that person is basically like the aunts in Handmaid's Tale. She's the one that keeps the other women in line and all the rest of it. And he's got her convinced that even though he's screwing all these girls and she's just on the street just like everybody else, he has that woman convinced that she's his person. And he has them all convinced of that. And the newest one, he's got her convinced that he's bored with all of them and all the rest of it. A lot of it works in a relationship. And so when you look at the lyrics here, it's very interesting because you could tell that the pimp knew that. See the runaway there on the corner just to throw away, but somebody's daughter. Had a pretty face, so somebody bought her. Selling her soul away, so to put in your order.
She's selling her soul away, so put in your order.
And then right here, you know, in the second part of the lyrics when they repeat the chorus, but now they're talking about her.
Well, maybe it's this part that you were going to say. She wants to belong. She knows what to do.
Right.
She's got to hang on. Ghost in the ruins.
Right. She wants to belong. And so that's people don't understand that once this guy's got about 4 or 5 women, now those women become like this sort of secret club of lawbreakers and sufferers. And it creates this weird subculture that a person who's an outsider wants to be a part of. And the really good pimps use all of these mechanisms: fear, daddy issues, fear of being alone, not the popular girl, not desirable, blah. He brings all of that together to get these girls to work for him. And it's it's that's why when I hear people talking about that's why we hear people talking about like making it legal, we'll regulate it and make it safer for them. Like, you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. No, it will not. So
it's so hard because like the more time that I spend thinking about
the Nordic model has been used to great effect in Europe, not the New Zealand model.
Right.
Where in New Zealand you release all 3 phases of the sex game and they immediately become a destination country for sex traffickers. The Nordic model, which decriminalizes the woman, has been shown to have really, really good results. But not when you release all 3. But
I think that it's like the more time that I spend thinking about girls in that situation, the more I realize that they really are kind of stuck in this rut. Rut is so mild compared to what I found, like, the more I think about it, because you're in a situation where you're being used by men and you're stuck because of the
women
pimp.
sometimes.
Yeah, and
that's got to be addressed.
Oh my God. And women sometimes. And so you're in that situation, but when these girls, once they've already been doing that, the way that women treat them is so horrible, and like, you get what you get, and like, where's the compassion? They're cold and they're evil to these girls. And I'm like, where do these girls have to go? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that there are lots of parents that if their daughter had done that they would, at any second, if they found out or they knew or they wanted, there's probably lots of parents that would say, baby, come back home. But there's got to be all kinds of parents that just think they're ashamed or whatever, and they just throw out their daughter too. She has no place to go, or maybe she didn't have supportive parents growing up, and just the idea that somebody is stuck in that system, in that place, and doesn't really know where to go, like how to get out of it, how to get safe.
That's what makes religious communities. That's what makes religious communities particularly dangerous, because you have multiple layers of society that can punish you for having the wrong kind of family. So, especially depending on the proximity to the family of the religious community. And notice, I'm not blaming the religion. I'm just saying, especially modern evangelical focus on the family kind of families, where they try to project this perfect family, and then you win all these societal payoffs,
right?
Because you're in this great functional family,
right?
And all your daughters were virgins when they got married, and all this other, whatever. It creates environments where if the boy displays any feminine attributes, he gets shipped off to some camp. If the girl displays any sort of self-awareness in her sexuality, she's immediately become this thing of horror in her own household. It's very, very, and it creates situations like, I just feel like your run-of-the-mill secular parent you would fare better as a child or young adult who made a mistake like that. I feel like the secular parent 9.5 times out of 10 is going to say, of course. Like, to me, it takes a religious community to get a parent to do that to their own child. And maybe I'm saying that because that's the only perspective I've lived in as an evangelical. And I'm not one of these, I'm deconstructed. I believe all the essentials of the faith, right? Like, Genesis to Revelation is completely and totally inspired by God, blah, blah. I believe in everything. But I'm not blaming religion, but I'm saying, like, that kind of particular cruelty to one's own child, we've pointed out a million times the particular cruelties that secularists do to their children, to the point where a lot of them don't have to worry about their daughter doing that and accepting their daughter because they've already killed their own daughter. So I'm not trying to say that secularists are better than religious people or vice versa. I'm just saying that particular scenario, to me, almost requires a religious element to get a parent to do that to their own child, where I feel like I said, your garden variety American secular humanists, I don't think that would ever happen. I don't think they do it. I just don't. But again, it's also that dynamic that these pimps, they take everything into account. Mm-hmm. They take everything into account, and people have no idea the psychological stranglehold that these people have over the minds of women. It's unbelievable.
I think the other thing too is that, if you don't, obviously our worldview is that every person, when they're born sinful. Like, a lot of people want to just look at a baby and say, oh, they're completely innocent. But then all of a sudden they start doing things and you're like, why? Who taught them that? Why are they doing this? Why are they throwing toys at that other kid? Why are they stealing from this other kid? Like, all these mean things that kids start displaying early on, where you're like, no, we know that nobody was assaulting anybody in front of these children. Like, where did they get this, And so when you have kids, you see that early on. But a lot of times people don't even realize that, hey, like maybe this was in them before. And they're just displaying, like, as they're getting older and their personality is coming out, like who they are is being shown, And so, like, I think that, you know, because people don't kind of have that, like, as a base presupposition, I guess you could say, that people are sinful, then, you know, you're raised with your family and you're going to see all the flaws of your family. And then you have this new person that comes into your life and you don't see all of that person's flaws, and they're going to present to you the best version of themselves. And so I think that sometimes the naivety of, how would you say that?
Naivete. Same thing.
Of these girls is that they're looking at this person and like almost like they're like a savior type person. You know, they're going to do well, and then they end up, you know, pushing their family out because they're trying to maintain this relationship with this guy because they think, okay, this is it. But, and then the parent, you know, and then the kids get separated more from the parents. So I think that it's helpful for people to realize that if you only see good projected from someone and you never see anything negative, and there's something there.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, and you know, if they're specifically trying to separate you from your family members, that's a good indicator that you're in trouble.
Right.
The other thing about this is that the solo is incredible. The solo was absolutely incredible. The music is incredible. This vocalist to me is quickly becoming one of my favorite vocalists of all time.
He's really good.
And the thing is, a person could say, "Oh my God, you just heard the guy. You're being a prisoner of the moment." That's probably true. However, we're listening to 15, 16 songs of his in a row. I'm getting a good cross section of what this guy is capable of doing. So that is my retort. Even though it's very recent, I still don't think it's recency bias because I've been listening to a bunch.
Right.
Of this guy's song. I just think, I don't even know what the guy's name is. I think it's John. I don't know. I know the guitarist is Chris. I know the guitarist is Chris, and then there's a John. I don't know anything else about this band. But I don't care. I know that this singer is probably better than your favorite singer. 9.9, what do you give the song?
Oh, man. 9.8. 9.8.
Whoa, very good, very good, very good. We have more songs on the way. The next one is called If I Go Away from the band SAVATAGE. Stay where you are, dear listener. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. All right, guys. Commercial break. We shall return. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village. Facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
SAVATAGE, If I Go Away, is the next song on our stream. What, babe?
Is there a little summary for that one?
It's very short. This song is supposed to represent DT's desire to just disappear. Forget everything he's been through and just start over somewhere else. Yep. Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's check it out. Let's check it out, dear listener. SAVATAGE, If I Go Away. And this is a lyric video. Let's do it.
Ouch!
Somewhere on that long, lonely road, we all stand alone, looking for clues from our different views. In the dark, I called out your name. It echoes in vain over again in an empty room. If I go away, what would still remain? Me. Ghost within your eyes, whispering the silence. You see, believe, and I'm always there.
Wow.
Staring down a long, empty hole. Pictures on walls, all with your name. But it's not the same. and I'm always there.
Didn't that sound? I was going back and forth between, is he talking about himself, or is he talking about missing his homie who died, or is he talking about both?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I was a little confused too, because it didn't seem like explicitly clear that he was just talking about himself. Okay.
He says, in the dark, I've called out...
Did you have a favorite line?
Well, I had a favorite part when it went ding, 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 and he went exactly with the guitar line.
Yeah, yeah.
What was yours?
The ghost within your eyes, the whisper in your sighs.
Yeah, it looks like he's talking to someone, because you go right to verse 2 or stanza 2, scroll up to stanza 2. It says, in the dark I've called out your name, it echoes in vain over and over again in an empty room.
Yeah, I know. That sounds like he's talking about his friend. Unless you're going to go, like, really, like, Yoon.
Why?
Well...
You'd say he was talking to himself?
Yeah, like the better version of himself, or so he's... Remember we talked about that? Like, you know, he kept talking about wanting to go back to what he was before.
Right.
So, like, talking to that version of himself, like, I've called out your name, like the whole, like, looking in a mirror, not really recognizing yourself because stuff is too much has changed, and, like, probably wanting that version of himself before the death of his friend. If I go away, what would still remain of me? See, even that kind of sounds
maybe
like...
he's looking at the entire existential thing itself, because if you look, it says, somewhere on that long, lonely road, we all stand alone looking for clues from our different views. So it looks to me like what he's saying there is that the long, lonely road would be life, the journey of life. Because he says, we all stand alone, because basically we all die alone.
Life, yeah.
So we're looking for clues from our different views. Clues about what? Well, what happens after, it looks like. So if you start from that perspective, that he's not just talking about his specific friends, but just about the journey of life itself, then I think that adds a little bit more context.
Okay,
so then he says, if I go
is,
away, what will still remain of me?
If that's, excuse me, if that's what it is, when he says, so if it's standing on the road looking for clues about what comes after, and then he says, in the dark I've called out your name, it could be his friend. It echoes in vain over again in an empty room, which then gives him the idea, is there nothing, like, or can these people not communicate back with us?
Which is the ultimate question. What happens to us after we die, or more specifically, what happens to our consciousness after we die?
Do you think when somebody dies, like, obviously we can't communicate with them, but do you think that they can still see you even for a moment?
What do you mean by that?
Like, do you think that there's any crossover time? Like, okay, well, first of all, do you believe that your spirit, soul, whatever, just kind of floats up? Do you believe that angels come and bring you? What do you think happens?
I don't believe the spirit and the soul are physical, so they couldn't bring you up.
Well, to this is what I think is so funny about our conversations. Like, I didn't think it was like, it was just like they're going to guide you. They're going to go with the spirit of the soul, whatever that is.
I don't know where the spirit of the soul is. So it might be as simple as when you die, you get the sensation that you took off a headset and that you're in the real room. You're in your real room. So like if I was in a virtual reality game and, you know, my guy fell off of a cliff and you can kind of see the ground coming to you. And then somebody takes off your headset. They didn't carry me anywhere. I was simultaneously in both realms. Right. It's just my consciousness was directed toward this particular realm. So I think when you die, it'll probably be more of that kind of an experience than a traveling up type experience.
What about the homie that got swept away by the well, there's a couple things I had. Elijah, when the chariot came to get him, and I understand he didn't die,
Right.
There was
Chariots of Fire.
yeah. And then also like, have you seen that video of the life flight that was taking off?
Yeah.
And like when the person died, like somebody was recording it, and you see that like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very skeptical of that stuff.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Like, because I think what that does, that communicates like a physicalist understanding of the spirit. Because if you could see it, that means it has physical attributes.
But I mean, even the Aka Indians, they said that when the missionaries died, they saw.
I agree.
Do you think that that's just God giving them some sort of vision?
I don't think that would come up on a camera.
Oh.
Right, because I think that world is that's an interdimensional situation, and so if you are given, DMT, things like that.
Just to give you guys a quick, I think we've explained it before, but these missionaries went to these Indians that I don't even think the Aka Indians is the correct term that you're supposed to use, but that's all I know them as. And when the missionaries kind of made contact with them, stuff was going really good, and then all of a sudden stuff went south. The missionaries had guns with them, but they refused to shoot the men and women that were there. And so the men and women that were there started attacking them with spears. And according to the Indians that lived there, when you died, if things were right according to their like religious views, you would jump over the Great Bowl, which was a river. Like you would not jump over it, but you would cross it. You would be able to cross it. And they saw when they killed these missionaries, before the missionaries had even died, they saw what they explained as their spirits jumping over the Great Boa. And so they didn't understand, like, obviously they're not of the same religion. How were they able to not just cross it, but to jump over it? Like they were beyond ready to be there, and they weren't even dead, and they were able to do this. So that had a massive influence on those Indians. And then the wives of the husbands that all got killed in the river that day, it's so emotional. They loaded up their babies on their backs, and they went into that village of Indians, and they lived among them. They didn't kill them. They ended up building a relationship with them, learned the language, and they got those stories later on. They said they were asking how were they able to do that, and then they were able to tell them about Jesus and all that. So that's kind of like that. So when we talk about that, they saw that, but he's saying that that's just something that they saw. That's not something that would have been. It's not like if you had a camera running it, you would have seen that.
Yeah, like when somebody's on DMT, I believe they're seeing something real.
Yeah. But
it's not something that's going to come out on a camera that's limited to 3 dimensions.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So, there is the question, like in the song, especially when you lose a friend.
No, we're not talking about India.
When you lose a friend in sort of unnatural circumstances, especially at a young age, it definitely forces you to think a lot about your mortality. I remember when, Behind the Music, Metallica, when Cliff Burton died, and like he was dead, he was gone, dead. And Metallica was talking about it, obviously very painful situation. And Kirk said they just got completely, totally wasted, drunk, horrible. And Kurt was saying he was walking up and down the street saying, "Where's Cliff?" Screaming, "Where's Cliff?" So those questions, especially when you're young, I remember the first time, it happened, it was a really crazy, crazy feeling to be like, yo, this dude was here, he's not here anymore. Like, oh, it's crazy. So it makes you ask those questions, and it makes you really, dig into what the meaning of life is, all the rest of that stuff. And I just think with human beings that the relationships we all have with each other are so strong and so transdimensional that I don't care what your stated belief or non-belief system is. Anytime you lose somebody like that, you're going to ask those questions, and you're going to have to, make those, find a way to make peace with the idea that you will or will not see them again. And again, for me, it's like, why? What is this preoccupation with death that we have? How does that help us replicate the species? Mm-hmm. You got a lot of people who have great genetic profiles that should be able to, replicate their species, but they lose somebody very important to them and they can't get over it.
Yeah.
So there's all these things where it's like we're not just animals who have been naturally selected towards evolutionary proficiency. Like there's something else going on with us, because there's a lot of habits that human beings have that we romanticize, that we present as good things, that do not work toward survival and gene replication.
Right, yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
Romeo and Juliet being the greatest love story of all time in the Western world does not comport to that. You got these two kids in the prime of their youth. Evolutionarily speaking, we should be completely against that, because those are the last people on the planet. I mean, the Goldilocks zone is 20 to 24 to have children. That's right where they were. So, like, what else is happening with us?
Right.
Why are these human relationships so deep? And sorry, survival and gene replication doesn't explain the depth of the connection between us. And so I think, that, among other things, is why I think materialism is just doomed. I think it's doomed. And I think something else, I think panpsychism is going to kind of replace it, but that's kind of wobbly, and then it's going to be a free-for-all in the scientific community when you get quantum physicists in there. So I don't know, but this question is like, yeah, he's personally sick of it all, I think, and he's like, yo, like, there's just been too much back and forth, but at the same time, it's also like, what is the entire point of this at the existential level?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Why are we so bonded to each other? All those kinds of questions.
Yeah. Maybe, and then there's also this, staring down a long, empty hall, pictures on the wall, all with your name, but it's not the same.
Yeah?
What do you make of that? Because that, again, I could see it being both ways. I could see it being like, they have, memories of this person up, and he's seeing them, but why would he be in a situation where he would be seeing them? Which then makes you think, well, maybe this is a hallway in his mind that he's seeing. It's empty, but it has pictures of him as he transitioning through his life. They're all him, but it's not the same. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, Kai, but that's not survival of the kindest, right? If a guy, Romeo and Juliet is not survival of the kindest. So why is that such a compelling story if it's completely militates against our evolution? Go ahead. Well, I think, but that's one of those things that makes me say it might be a poetic or a Jungian way of him talking about himself, because in what circumstances a person have a picture with a name attached to it? That's usually a famous person that has a name attached to a picture. So I see what you're saying, like, which of course is a horrible prescience relative to this band, because that actually happened. You know what I'm saying? Because the guitarist died, so he very well could be in that situation in the future and not even know it as he's writing it. That shit's crazy. Yikes. I really loved it. Okay, I saw some of the feedback. The song stayed pretty much in the exact same place from beginning to end.
it did. I agree. It did.
And
It did.
usually with this band, there's some variation, especially with the vocal style. But it looked to me like they decided that they were going to just keep this as a ballad and keep it where it is. I would have liked a little bit of variation. I think the lack of variation hurt it a little bit. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I don't
But
think
not
so.
for you, it looks like.
No, because for one, I'm okay with a song that slowly burns and doesn't. I usually do like give me some high points, like what Floor does. You know, I like some of that. But I was okay with this one because for this period where he's at, like, I feel like that it fits. Like, I think that you kind of hit that point where, you know, things are not changing for him. He's got a lot of things that he's facing, and you are at sort of like this standstill point, and it's not super triumphant, and it's not like, you know, dead in the water either. He's just kind of like there. And I felt like that the music communicated it, but I still felt like that the music communicated it in a beautiful way. So it wasn't just like, it didn't feel gray. It still had a beauty to it, like a sorrowful sort of beauty. So I personally still liked it a lot. I'm going to give this one a 9.75. This is still, very high for me.
This is a solid 8.4 for me. Solid 8.4 for me. Don't touch that dial, dear listener. We have more SAVATAGE, a streets and opera coming up for you very, very soon. Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Out. All right, guys. Commercial break. You guys know the drill. We SAVATAGE. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
Look, it's not like anybody was asking, but I'm still going to tell you guys. Every time I get pregnant, I get gestational diabetes, which is temporary diabetes while you're pregnant. It's super annoying. To check your blood all the time. They worry more about the baby, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I prayed like crazy this time. I was like, Lord, please get me off the hook this one time. And so the last 3 pregnancies I've had it every single time. This time, woot, your sister doesn't have it. Yay! So I'm very happy about that.
Mashallah. See, God answers prayers, inshallah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, track 13, Agony and Ecstasy. I guess this song is supposed to represent a last temptation for DT. To return to his old life, but the song has always seemed to me to be out of place. I would have placed it earlier in the track listing. I suspect that it was placed here simply for pacing on the record. The last 3 songs are a little subdued, and I think they felt they needed something up-tempo towards the end of the record to balance everything out. Okay. Nevertheless, it's a banger. And I always kind of considered this song to be Savage's
SAVATAGE's.
Yeah, he put Savage's Master of Puppets. SAVATAGE's Master of Puppets. And when I say this, I mean in terms of the subject matter and lyrical style. Master of Puppets is an iconic song and a masterpiece in its own rights. It has very few equals in metal. This is known. All right?
That's because it's impossible, Kai. Okay. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's do it. Agony and Ecstasy. Let's go.
Listen to me from deep down inside. I'm the madness that just will not die. With no regrets of what I do to you. Before the night is over, you'll be crawling to me. Weak, but me a lying cheat. You'll never get shake. Listen, DJ, can you see it? Stay with me and you'll be free. Even as I soothe your soul, I'll tear you down and make you whole. You just keep on coming back to buy another nickel. So 12 o'clock, time to greet agony and ecstasy.
Whoa.
Ecstasy. And the cries from within. When the day begins, you know you'll follow me like sheep. The shepherd never sleeps. Tell me what's your price. Come skate on my ice. The blades, they never rust. I'm asking you to trust. Listen now, the time is right. What a way to stop the night. Spend your money endlessly, another grand insanity. So this is the plan. I'll make your brain a rubber band. Time to stretch it out and greet agony and ecstasy.
Wow. Okay.
Talk to him, brother minister.
Ecstasy.
Talk to him, brother minister. Oh, good harmony. Good harmony. Both do it at the same time.
Feel my whisper through your haze of pain. Hear the calling of the neon vein. See my name upon your soul's marquee. I am agony and ecstasy.
Oh shit! Talk that shit, Chris. Let's go! Let's go!
Just remember, if you ever need me, I'm here.
Oh man.
That's what that at the end of Puppets.
Yep.
Some little haunting phrase at the end. Holy shizzle, whizzle, dizzle,
Wow.
dizzle, dizzle.
Okay.
Okay, so
I don't know.
so here's the, okay.
My father may dislike me for eternity. I don't know. I'm gonna send him this song and ask him if he likes it.
Are you serious?
I am.
Oh
I think
my
he's gonna
God.
like it.
Oh my
But
gosh.
he's not gonna think it's good. Like he's gonna think it's a bad song
If
probably
we-
to listen
If
to.
we ever got your dad to do a review, holy smokes. Holy smokes, that would be some shit.
There's no cursing in it, right? There was no cursing. I didn't miss any cursing.
Nah, there's no cursing in it. There's no cursing. She's gonna send it to her dad. This should be a very fascinating exchange, inshallah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, go. What do you got?
It was a fun song. Like, it was really moving. I agree with you, Mojo. I think that it's a little misplaced if you're going, like, if you're doing the album start to finish. It does seem like this should be back before he went to the stage when Jesus returns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like it would fit right there because he's saying, like, I've got you. You're going to stay here. This is good for you. Blah, 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 blah.
I don't know. It makes perfect sense. His friend died. He turned to God. God didn't give him any answers. He's still upset about it. So it would make sense that the drug would come on heavier than ever. At its lowest point, it would make sense that the drug would be more aggressive and more loud, because that's usually what happens when you're tempted or you're in a bad situation. Bad things get amplified. It's not like temptation goes, oh, you know what? You're having a rough time. I'm going to come in quietly too then.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I'm just, like, I think if you're in the throes of it, like, there's certain things that the drug or whatever says to him that I think that because you're already in the throes of it, there's nothing you can do. But if you're outside of it, so for You call me when you're weak. Okay, you got to think he's sober at this point.
Yeah, but it's the drug
Call me
trying to
when
get
you're
him.
weak. For me, you'll lie and cheat. You'll never get away. With me, you're here to stay. Listen, DT, can't you see? You'll stay with me and you'll be free. Even as I soothe your soul, I'll tear you down and make you old.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem like that the drug, I feel like when the drug is trying to tempt him to come back, like, it's not going to be like, also, there's also the shitty side. I feel like that it would only be like all the positives. Oh, we're going to feel so good. Or can escape that thing. The fact that he's hearing the negative too, to me seems more like he's in the midst of it, because at that point you're already stuck into it. Like, there was stuff that you said to our friend that you said, like, this will kill you and stuff like that, but it had no effect.
Yeah, but like when I'm playing in Madden, I feel so confident that I will tell the other player what I'm going to do. So I'll tell.
Yeah.
Or on the basketball court, like if I see that somebody can't guard me, I'll tell them what I'm going to do before I do it. Or jujitsu.
Just to get more in their head?
It's a way of saying I own you so much that I can tell you what I'm going to do, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. So that, when the thing says I'm going to do this to you and I'm going to do that to you, I don't think that's because the drug feels that it's got that much power, that it's that there's no way that he's not going to do that.
Okay, yeah.
So it makes perfect sense to me in the progression of the album, 100% to me.
He says you just keep on coming back to buy another nickel sack. Remember, we were trying to figure out if that was like candy or if it was actually drugs?
No, I told you a nickel bag was drugs in the hood, but the first song didn't say nickel bag. It said nickel candies or something like that to buy his first guitar. But yeah, like, I don't know, the drug, which is really fascinating, because if I go with Don Hoffman's conscious agents theory, what that would mean is the drug that we call crack or heroin or whatever it is a collection of consciousnesses, actually. So you know, in Hoffman's world, a rock is a collection of consciousness. So everything that we see in the, quote, physical world are simply groups of conscious agents who have decided to represent themselves that way in the physical world. So the chemicals that go into what crack or heroin is in Hoffman's world are still actually conscious, which would then mean that they would be malevolent consciousnesses. So in Hoffman's universe, heroin really can feel that way. I'm not talking about a person on heroin. What I'm talking about is the drug heroin itself in consciousness in Hoffman's universe is actually conscious and aware of itself. And not only aware of itself, but aware of the multiple consciousnesses that make up what we call in this world a physical chemical compound. So, as I said, they would be by default malevolent consciousnesses, because they would know that they're going to cause a deleterious effect on the body and mind of the person that's using it. So it's just very fascinating now, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, what if we really treated these substances as if they were all conscious? And not in a pantheistic sense, but in a sense of, like, very similar to like us, to be aware, to be conscious, to have agendas, etc., etc., etc. And, I mean, he's proven all this with meth. The book, The Case Against Reality, is a mind blower. It's an unbelievable, like, you'll never be the same person again after that. Honestly.
Babe, didn't we hear, like, somebody said that the drug was laughing at them?
Yeah.
Who said that?
Well, that's a common report, but it also is at the end of Master of Puppets, where it's laughing, and the subject matter is cocaine in Master of Puppets. It's a drug.
Interesting.
That's why he called it their Master of Puppets, because this is a drug talking.
Oh.
You know, ecstasy, I'm the cry from within, from when your days begin. You follow me like sheep, the shepherd never sleeps. Tell me what's your price, come skate on my ice. Ice is another term for crack or cocaine or whatever.
You know what I thought was interesting about that line? So, this is what a marquee is a canopy? What?
Okay, what about it?
Well, he says, see my name upon your soul's marquee, like your soul's dwelling. Is that what he's saying? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. But anyway, no. When he talked about the blades will never rust, I again, I mean, we're Christians, so I can't like not think from that box. So when the Israelites escaped from Egypt after they had been in slavery for like 400 years, when they were going around forever, 40 years in the desert, just basically around in circles, their sandals never wore out, which is super significant. And so it kind of reminded me of that, like, because he said, like, a line before, he says a couple things within this. He says, I'm the cries from within when the day begins. You know you'll follow me like sheep. This shepherd never sleeps. Which a lot of time in the Bible, there's
badass lyrics.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Honestly, like,
absolutely.
those are crazy lyrics.
Yeah. There's this idea of the shepherd and the sheep. And so then he uses it in the drug reference, which I thought was pretty crazy. And then he says, tell me what's your price. Come skate on my ice. My blades, they never rust. I'm asking you to trust. And so it just reminded me of like, the two sides of the coin. So in the Bible, you have the shepherd and the sheep. Obviously, the shepherd is Jesus. He's a good shepherd. He leads you beside still waters, blah, 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 blah. And when he leads them out of Egypt, their shoes don't wear out. And then here you have, like, he's calling himself the shepherd, saying that you're the sheep, but obviously he's leading them into this really horrible place. But he's also telling them, like, I'm a shepherd. Your skates aren't going to come skate on my ice. They won't rust, blah, blah, blah. Just the two sides of that. But then, I don't know. So he was using ecstasy? Is that what was calling him? Is that why we keep screaming ecstasy? He did really
ecstasy
good on that
is
part.
it is a drug, and it can really truly fuck you up if you take a bunch of it. But I haven't really heard anybody like their whole life is ruined by ecstasy. It's usually methamphetamines or heroin and things like that, and people talk about ecstatic or euphoric experiences. So I think he's talking about ecstasy in a euphoric sense. But again, all these references are double entendres. When he talks about skating on the ice is another word for, ecstasy. So all of this is a double entendre.
Yeah, the other thing too is when he says, come skate on my ice. You know how when they say you're on thin ice?
Right.
Obviously, if he returns to the drugs, he is on thin ice. So who cares if the blades don't rust out if you're on thin ice? What the fuck?
Well, yeah. And I understand why it's like their Master of Puppets, because Master of Puppets was really, in my view, the first song to personify drugs like that. Mm-hmm. And it was really the same song structure. It was a drug saying, I own you. I'm going to do this, and, I will occupy, I will let you die, I will run through you, now I really do. Like, it's telling you beforehand what it's going to do because it feels so confident that you're not going to be able to break the spell. So, what's funny is I truly believe that these things are conscious. like that's the universe I live in. I feel like Hoffman is onto something, and if he's right,
not that consciousness attaches itself to the substance. The substance itself is conscious, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that nothing in the physical world is really here. These are just icons for us to differentiate different consciousnesses and different priorities of consciousnesses that we want to interact with. Right? So, I'm in this physical world, and the collection of consciousnesses that make you up is distinguished from me by us projecting two different bodies. Because if we didn't project two separate bodies, we would just be one blob of consciousness, and we wouldn't know where I ended or you began. So to confine all of you to this physical body, which is very funny, because if I were to tell somebody, is all of you all that is here that I'm seeing right there? They say, of course not, because there's an entire inner world that this physical body doesn't represent. So, like, it's like Hoffman says, like, when you see somebody crying, the crying is not the sadness. The crying represents the sadness. The sadness is inside and invisible. So in Hoffman's world, we have this physical platform so we can differentiate consciousnesses and then prioritize them. So you're going to be the top priority in the room to me because you're what I call a human consciousness, because we've decided that this particular collection of consciousnesses are more important to us to interface with. And then we have all of these so-called inanimate substances in this room, but all of these are conscious. It's just that for the purposes of us in this particular realm, I don't want to interface with these things. I want to interface with you.
And by
I'm
contrast,
going to interface with the people that are in our virtual chat, which is a very good example. It's like, I want to talk to the people in the chat. So right now, you think I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at you. I'm looking into a camera, but you're experiencing it as me looking at you. And that's what Hoffman is saying is everything that you see in the world.
well, you know what's interesting? Because when we're sitting here, I don't see the camera. I never see the camera.
Right.
I see...
People.
Yeah.
Right. And you haven't
I don't know what these people look like, but
Right.
they all have a sort of
Correct.
look.
Right. And it's
With
a
their
humanoid.
name.
It's a humanoid
Yeah.
look, of course. It's
Yeah.
an outline of a humanoid and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's literally the world. So in that kind of a world, then the drugs would absolutely be alive, have intentions, have desires, have emotions, have an ego, have an agenda, all that.
Yeah. He
Okay.
ends it with, and just remember, if you ever need me, I'm here.
Right. Okay, what do you get this song?
I really, really like this one. I think this one's a 10 for me.
This one's a 10?
I think so. I really, really like this one.
Holy ailey. 8.9 for me.
Really?
8.9 for me.
Man, I wish my dad would respond.
He's probably asleep, I would assume.
It's only 7:49.
7:50.
He said
Okay.
his phone doesn't give him notifications very often.
Well,
so.
don't worry about that, dear listener. What we can talk about, though, is Somewhere in Time. That is the name of the next SAVATAGE song we will be reviewing from the big homie MOJO. This band is deep, y'all. Deep lyrics, deep guitar work, really, really deep stuff. Just a bunch of NPCs, John Ryan says. Yeah, kinda. Then out.
Sorry, out.
Gone. All right, guys, commercial break. We shall return. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull
You
that
can
off.
also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee,
Can't
a
guarantee
positive
you a
review.
positive review.
Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord,
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
and they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed.
A child shall lead them to buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
All right, you guys. We have. Whoops, we just finished Agony and Ecstasy.
Yeah.
Also, MOJO in between on the commercial. I called my dad
Oh,
to have him listen to the song and give it a rating from 1 to 10. So I'll let you know if he responds. Okay. So let's see. What do we?
Somewhere in
excuse
Time
me.
by the band SAVATAGE.
Okay, tracks 14, 15, and 16. He said, MOJO, our DJ, says, here is where the rubber meets the road. You've probably at least guessed by now this record is about recovery and everything that goes along with that process. The guilt and the ability to speak forgiveness from others, but also to be able to forgive oneself. So it's not surprising that these last 3 songs will have some heavy religious overtones to them. Oh. Don't talk about your religion on your channel. I'll unsubscribe. They'll have some heavy religious overtones to them, and that may turn some people off, that's a quote from the comment section. Sorry, sad face. I consider myself to be an agnostic. I believe we are all on a journey, and that journey doesn't end when our life here does. But I haven't the slightest idea what comes next. Well, we'll all find out soon enough. Even though I'm not a believer, I love these last 3 songs, and they still give me comfort in a way. Now, as far as how the story ends, these last 3 songs do not really match up with how the story in the linear note ends. It's almost as if some songs are missing from this story. For brevity's sake, I will paraphrase how the story ends. Wandering the streets, tempted to return back to his old life of addiction, DT is about to give up when he notices a crowd gathering around something on the sidewalk. He makes his way closer and sees a man collapsed against the wall of an old tenement building. It's obvious that the man has been living on the streets a long time. His skin is oily and black from lack of washing. It's clear this man is dying. The smell is so bad that even the police will not approach him.
Damn.
Forgetting his own problems, DT approaches the man, kneels down and takes his hand, letting him know that he is not alone in his final moments. The man looks at DT in the eyes gratefully as he takes his final breaths. DT stands to walk away when he sees the spectral figure of a child rise out of the man's body. Nobody else standing around sees this. The child walks into the tenement building, and DT follows. DT follows the figure to the roof and finds the figure on the ledge, staring up at the stars. DT realizes that this is the spirit of the child that the old man was, and is praying for the old man's soul and asking forgiveness for a wasted life and a lost dream. The child turns to DT, smiles, and fades away. And for the first time in a long time, DT finds himself at peace. The end. The last 3 songs convey the emotion of the final events of the story, but not the story itself, which has always bothered me a little bit. It's like watching a movie and you get distracted by a phone call or something at the start of the 3rd act and return to it at the final moments just before the credits start rolling. And you ask yourself, how the hell did we get here? That's happened to me so many times. Anyway, that is Streets. Despite its imperfections, I do consider it a masterpiece of songwriting and storytelling. And here are the final 3 songs, which only make 7 songs in the stream. So fear not, there will be an 8th song. Okay, so we have Heal My Soul up next.
Okay, track number 14. I'm not sure that this story is as disjointed as he thinks it is. Because the previous song made a lot of sense.
Yeah, we'll see.
Isn't Somewhere in Time the next song? The last song we did was Agony and Ecstasy, right? Right?
What do you want? Yes.
So
Agony and Ecstasy. Now we're Heal My Soul.
So it should be Somewhere in Time, right?
Did I just say Somewhere in Time? No, Heal My Soul.
I probably did this in the wrong.
Heal My Soul is next.
Heal My Soul is next. Okay. I don't even have that one up. I didn't even download that one.
Oh.
How did I miss that one?
I don't know.
That's what happened.
Okay.
Okay, well, then keep talking. Keep talking to the people.
Yes. I'm going to text my father and say, don't forget to send me a score. 1 through 10.
You are the worst.
I'm not the worst.
You're the worst.
If I don't push, I won't know.
Why would you push him to that if that's gonna mess him up?
Because I don't think it's going to mess him up.
Oh, so you're the arbiter of that. Okay. Well, continue then, as you were.
Wow.
Talk to the people.
Okay. I'm pulling up the comment section. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this album. This has been really fun.
Yeah,
I was talking to Dorian because you know how Dorian is. It's like talking to an old man sometimes. So I'm like, Dorian, our stream was really good last night. He was like, oh, really? Well, what was so good about it? And I'm like, I don't know. It just had a lot. Then I got interrupted by screaming children. So then the conversation was over. But I was going to tell him how it was like therapy. I did say that. I finished that sentence. I said it was like therapy.
It's a therapy type.
It was a very, very good stream. I really enjoyed it. And I got good feedback from it too, from a lot of different people. So that's
These
pretty
guys,
cool.
Yeah, this band is
so MOJO, you've pulled something very unique together here. Anyway, so we have, whoops, let me just put that on silent. Okay, so tomorrow, we have this stream today, then tomorrow we might have tomorrow is tentative if we're gonna have a stream, but we have a stream on Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Thursday we have one at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we also have another one on Friday. So we've got a lot of streams this week. So
we shall see.
Keep your eyes open for those streams.
This
if you're
is
interested.
SAVATAGE, Heal My Soul.
Yep.
Let's go.
I've been waiting, long forgotten, shipwrecked on a distant shore. Am I drifting? No more wanted, floating outward evermore. All the dreams that I have harbored in the labyrinth of my soul, gone forever, not discarded, only sleeping till they're home. In the graveyard of my heart now sleep the years that I've long sold. For their markers, is there nothing? Only ghost I cannot hold. And Father, hear me, I am tired. Shall I waken in thy home and hold me closer? I am trying, sweet Lord Jesus, heal my soul.
Whoa. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes like we'll make commentary and people are like, why are you always bringing your religion into this?
That's why I said that at the beginning.
Like, what am I supposed to do with this song, dear listener? What do you want me to do with this song?
I mean, I don't know what to tell you, bro. There's nothing that can be done. Okay, Mojo, he answered back.
What did he say?
Did not fare well. Okay, so he said, it's not my style.
Give the people an update.
Okay.
About what's going on.
So I messaged my dad. I sent him the link to the last song, which was Agony and Ecstasy. And I asked him if he liked it or whatever. He said it's not his style. It's a little bit too messy sounding. I like Southern rock. ZZ Top is my favorite. Blue Oyster Cult. And he said he gave that song a 4. Okay. He said he likes White Snake. Is that a band?
White Snake is a band.
Yeah, I'd like to know which song.
They're
I don't want to push him too far.
they're a what do you call it? They're like a hair band. All right.
Okay.
So this song. Go ahead.
Heal
Soraya.
My Soul. This one had like a really like kind of. It was sad feeling.
Look at sarcasm. I actively imagined being here. I'm gonna have to shoot a video on the active imagination stuff.
I know. Sarcast. I'm hoping you end up putting some drums to some of the stuff we're doing. I really like the way you play drums. No pressure though. If you're too busy or you're not interested, because I don't know if you guys have had conversations or if you've even said anything to him.
We've had our own conversation. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Can we get back to our regular scheduled program?
Okay, I've been waiting, long forgotten, shipwrecked on a distant shore. I am drifting, no more wanted, floating outward evermore. Ugh. All the never mind.
Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I can't really say all of it. I love the word evermore.
Yeah.
I think it's like it just carries so much to it. But then every time I'm like, well, I really like that, then it's too similar to a name that you have in your phone.
Oh my God.
So then it ruins it, and I'm like, well, there you have it. All the dreams that I have harbored in the labyrinth of my soul, gone forever, not discarded, only sleeping till they're whole. In the graveyard of my heart now sleeps the years that I've long sold. For their markers is there nothing, only ghosts I cannot hold. Father, hear me, I am tired. Shall I waken in thy home? Hold me close now, I am trying. Sweet Lord Jesus, heal my soul.
That was like those lyrics to Like a Stone from Chris Cornell. In your house I long to be, room by room patiently I wait for you now like a stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's look, man, it's the album is continuously confronting us with the fact that
I'm sorry. He just said listen to Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult. Didn't we just do that one?
and we just did, yeah. So
Okay.
Sori's talking to her dad. Her dad is giving us recommendations for video. But for small feet.
Okay.
And little does he know we already did it, so all he had to do is wire us some money. We can send him the video immediately. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's just, you were going to say something, but I guess.
I was going to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
But go ahead.
The ending of the song, obviously the lead up to the ending, just really, the lyrics, they just kind of put you in a certain place. And he talks about, the long forgotten shipwrecked on a distant shore, but then he also talks about having dreams within his soul. And then it's sort of this question, to me, it has a question mark after it on the lyrics here, but it was sort of like a statement question because he's not sure. When he says, gone forever, question mark, not discarded, question mark, only sleeping till they're whole. To me, it's he doesn't know. He's not really clear on what's happening or if
his
that stuff is
dreams are gone
lost.
forever. Because what's gone forever would be his dreams, right? Scroll up.
The dreams that he's harbored in the labyrinth of his soul.
Right.
Gone forever, not discarded, only sleeping till they're whole. Just
in the graveyard of my heart now.
Yeah, sleep the years I've long sold. It's just a really it has a sort of a depth to it because it's somebody who's at the end, and I think that, we all throw out a lot of bullshit, you know what I mean? And then there are times where there's no room for that. And it's and I think that that's why there's that Bible verse that says it's better to go to the house of mourning than the house of partying. There's that sort of idea. When you go to a party, it's yeah, turn it up, and you're not thinking about the end. But when you go to, say a funeral or, when I was sitting there, my grandmother had just passed away recently and I had gone in to see her, and it was in that moment, my face was reflected in hers because I am 2 generations from her. So I see similarities in her facial structure that I also have. And seeing her laying there and me standing there, and I love her. She's my grandmother, but she's not there, but she's there. And then, she was wearing this very, very soft, velour nightgown. And when I put my hand on her shoulder to, say goodbye, she had been gone for, a little while, and she was in a cold room. And her body itself was so cold that it pulled, it wasn't just that it was cold to the touch, but it felt like it pulled the warmth from my hand. And it didn't warm her. Like, you would be okay with pulling the warmth if it was going to warm the person that you love, but like to feel that warmth pull and there's nothing that you can give and there's no one there to receive, really, it was like it was hard, you know? And like, but it was just, the moment was so real, you know, and your family is there and people are sad, but then you look at the person and you're like, but that can't be it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously we're Christians and I do believe that there is something after that. But even sometimes, and I think it's because of our friends on the channel and stuff, like sometimes like I jump, like I look through both panes of glass, like, okay, this is my reality that she has somewhere that she's going after this. But then to jump into the other reality and say, what if I didn't know? What if it was only questions and you're, you know, so I don't know, like that. Just the way that he's putting out this song, it doesn't sound like he's super clear on it, but yet at the same time, like he has the Father, hear me, I am tired. Shall I waken in thy home? Like that, to me, I really like that part, because he doesn't know, and I mean, you can know, but I know that there's a lot of people that they don't know. But at the same time, I mean, he's here, he's praying. I don't know. It's just a hold me close now. I am trying. Sweet Lord Jesus, heal my soul. Like, he's had a long and hard life, and you kind of journey with him through the album, which you wouldn't if you heard the songs like all sporadically. You just wouldn't feel it. But because we've been able to kind of like journey with him, then when you get to this point, it's like, I don't know. There's just like there's a realness to the ending of the song. I don't know. I really, really liked that. What about you?
Yeah, it's just fascinating to me. Like, I was just watching these quantum physicists in a conference, and they're not on my team. I mean, they're not even on Hoffman or Kastrup's team. Mm-hmm. But when these experts get together, they're talking about the various problems of physicalism. One of them being the hard problem of consciousness. The other being the prevalence of NDEs. I was having a discussion with somebody, and they were like, I said, how are we booting up consciousness from dead matter? And they said, well, we know that the brain generates consciousness. I said, no, we don't know that. There's a correlation between the brain.
Yeah.
The most you could say is that the brain is a filter of consciousness.
Yeah.
But you can't say that the brain generates consciousness. There's no proof of that, scientifically speaking. Mm-hmm. And then we started talking about the hard problem of consciousness. It was clear, you know, like he did, you know. So he says, okay, then why does consciousness completely cease at death? And I said, how do you know that? He says, get me evidence that consciousness doesn't cease at death. So I you know how I am. I posted the peer-reviewed article about these NDEs, and the guy had 9 categories for near-death experiences. And then the conclusion from the expert was that we currently have no explanation physically relative to the brain about these experiences with these people, because they were dead, the brainwaves were little to none, they were gone.
Right.
And they're describing things that this is a peer-reviewed. Yeah. They didn't say that means God exists. That all it says is we don't currently have a physical explanation for this.
This is just what we found.
This is what we found. We don't have a physical explanation based on the current assumptions that you have. So, you know, there's so many evidences of this. You know, people have the most vivid lifelike experiences on DMT, but when we look at the brain scan, the brain operations are actually almost completely shut down. And yet, people are having these amazing, very detailed, graphic, almost tactile experiences on DMT while their brain function is actually slowing down. Yeah. And the theory is, that's why the filter theory came about, was because what it was saying was actually the point of brain and brain activity is to filter out those psychedelic experiences. So when you lower the brain's activity to do that, and then you ingest these experiences, the brain doesn't have the ability to filter that out. So that's what you're seeing. So it's actually the other ways that your brain, whatever that is functioning actually to separate reality for you, so that you can survive in this physical environment. Because again, you're evolved for fitness payoffs. You're not evolved to see the truth.
Right.
And so obviously, if you listen to people on DMT and they tell you they've seen all these hexagonal shapes and everything like that, and if that was all you saw, You'd never eat. You'd never reproduce.
Yeah.
You'd never do anything. You wouldn't be able to move. Actually, Hoffman did an equation where entropy would basically melt you into primordial goo if you could see everything, actually, because there'd be no way to balance out your. So anyway,
fascinating.
Long story short, my point is we can't solve the basic issue of consciousness. So how, even if I was an atheist, I would never be able to say for sure that there isn't consciousness after death. Because if I don't know where consciousness originated, how can I say where it ceased then? You know what I'm saying? So this whole song only makes sense in a different way. It doesn't make sense in a physicalist worldview, but the more and more I look at science, the more I'm seeing like I don't really feel like most of us are actually physicalists in the first place. Like we say things that don't match that, but this is an unbelievable song. That's a theory that the brain is actually mainly excluding things. Yeah.
That's so wild.
So yeah, because so if you look at it from that perspective, you have to be more open-minded about what is happening after death and before birth.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You have to have some epistemic humility and realize that, okay, maybe the Christians are crazy and religious people are crazy, but since we don't know the basic things about, we don't even know why chocolate tastes like chocolate. So okay, so you might say that Christians are crazy, but it's also equally as crazy to say definitively consciousness ends after death. The math is telling us that there's a 99.9999% chance that that's not the case. Go ahead, what were you saying?
Well, every time that you hear these people like kind of break down their experience with like DMT or any of that stuff, like I've never heard anybody, like it seems like that they have an experience that makes them feel like, they're part of a collective, that they are part of something that's bigger than themselves. But I've not heard anybody, and like they get some like personal growth from it, but I've not heard anybody say, therefore I should procreate.
Right.
Nobody's ever said that. And we've seen like a lot of stuff.
Right.
So then that kind of goes to that theory that like if the brain didn't like, X out some of that stuff,
right.
Like
it's a filtration system. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just very interesting.
You'd be a sitting duck for a lion. You'd never invent
Yeah, but
things.
maybe that's part of like the attraction with,
DMT?
No, the attraction with the opposite sex. A lot of times when people explain, like if a guy is explaining what he's attracted to with a woman, it has a lot to do with shapes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like maybe those shapes are kind of basic and boring compared to the shapes that you see on DMT. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like Kastrup is saying. It's like if you look at just raw, plain physicalist science, nothing you see here is actually what you see. Like he was saying, the stars are beyond, your brain is beyond the stars because the colors that you see, everything that you see are all supplied to you by your brain, supposedly. I know you were having a hard time with the idea that we were hallucinating colors. Yes, none of these colors exist, scientifically speaking. There are so many things that are true scientifically that are totally counterintuitive. I feel like I'm sitting still right now, but I'm traveling at thousands of miles an hour.
I know, yeah.
It looks like the Earth is flat. It's not. It looks like the sun moves up and down. It doesn't. So, like, almost everything we see phenomenologically is wrong. But then we say, these angles and these mathematic equations called physical matter, that's real, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Anyway, I really, really like this song a lot. This is one of my favorites, although this could have been... I gotta tell you, I don't know if this is a criticism or a compliment, but this could have easily have been some hymn in an old lady church. Like...
Oh, you mean what it sounded like?
Yeah, the sound, and the cadence, and everything. And that's not necessarily disrespectful. I'm just saying, for a rock band of rock enthusiasts in their 20s to write a song like this, to me says they've got a hell of a lot of range.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot of range is what I'm saying.
Yeah, range and discipline and mature understanding of how a song should be done going by subject matter. What do you give it?
This is 9.6 for me.
Oh, 9.6. Okay. I think it's 9.7.
Okay, guys. That was a pretty lengthy conversation, but W. Phil, we have more on the way. More Savatage coming up after the commercial break. Thank you guys for staying tuned. Big shout out to the big homie DJ MOJO. Check it out. You know what's so funny? You guys thought I was pointing at that picture. In reality, I'm just pointing at nothing in the air in the real world. Here's another example.
What?
All right, guys.
What picture?
We shall return.
Oh, this up here?
Or the scrolling letters.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It
Hey,
looks
where's
like,
his picture?
It looks like I'm touching him, but I'm really not. Commercial break. We shall return. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
They do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
All right. So we have Savatage. The next song, Somewhere in Time, is up next. And we already read the commentary.
Somewhere in Time by the band Savatage. I do know I have that one. Ha! It's right there!
Yay!
Wait, okay, now, is that the last song?
No. We got track 16 is Believe.
Okay,
And then he's got the last song of the stream.
gotcha. Okay, so this is the second to last song.
From the album. Yeah.
So after all these one-night stands, you've ended up with heart in hand. Child alone, on your own, retreating. Regretful for the things you're not, and all the dreams you haven't got. Without a home, a heart of stone lies bleeding. And for all the roads you followed, and for all you did not find, and for all the things you had to leave behind, I am the way, I am the light, I am the dark inside the night. I hear your hopes, I feel your dreams, and in the dark I hear your screams. Don't turn away, just take my hand, and when you make your final stand, I'll be right there, never leave.
Oh, babe, you're playing Believe.
Wrong song!
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. I was trying
Like,
to...
what is going on here?
Yeah.
What's the name of the song again?
So the name of the song is Somewhere in Time.
Somewhere in Time.
Yeah.
That was right above Believe. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
Okay, erase that from your memory. You know, like in the Paramation
Forgotten.
shows, somebody would say something and
Yeah.
strike that from the jury.
Yeah.
That was all a simulation. We wanted to see if you guys
imagined
are
it.
paying attention. There's always got to be some screw up. As soon as Sarcast showed up, we've never had a screw up like that before.
I know. And now you'll never let us live it down.
Terrible drummer.
So what can I tell you? Life's the length of this play. Perhaps God gave the answers to those with nothing to say. But the years are forgiven. God's forgiven and can. Perhaps we'll all find the answers somewhere in time. Somewhere in time. I've been changing, redefining all the things I thought I knew so long ago. I was flying through the years, it seemed so far away. In the back of a reason, in the back of my mind, it's where I piled up the seasons that I traded for time. I've been grasping at rainbows, hanging on till the end. But the rain is so real, Lord, and the rainbows pretend. The rainbows pretend. I've been changing, redefining all the things I thought I knew so long ago. I was flying through the years, it seemed so far away.
Snoopy in the house?
Wow. Are you sure they were in their 20s?
I think they were in their
Just
20s in
seems
this. Mojo, were they in their
Too
20s?
mature for 20-year-olds.
What do you mean? I can
Um,
see Dorian writing a song like this in his 20s.
Yeah, but that's Dorian.
Yeah, and
They got a group of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, that's not regular for late 20s. That's still their 20s.
yeah, 27.
Yeah.
What can I tell you? If life's the length of this play, perhaps God gave the answers to those with nothing to say. That's a brilliant line.
Yeah.
Think about it. So it's like, we don't have the answer. And then it's like, well, no, God could have gave the answer, but if the person has nothing to say, you're not going to experience it as anything other than a non-answer. See what I'm saying? So perhaps
I think so, yeah.
God gave the answers to those with nothing to say. It's a good way of saying there are no answers. But then I always think, like, what does an answer mean? Because I'm not sure that everybody means the same thing when they're talking about answers.
I just assumed it was what comes next because that's what we talked about in the song before, and it was still unanswered.
What do you mean?
Life after death, and what is it, and what does this all mean, and how does your past connect with your not just this life future, but like your future beyond this life? Like, some things, they seem so meaningless And then,
well,
are they
that's
going to
the
tie
question.
in?
I think when people are talking about answers, I think what they're talking about is what is the meaning behind certain things. So, for example, if I were to give the laziest, most stripped down explanation for something, there's an answer for everything. Why did not 9/11 happen? Because God willed it. Okay, that's an answer. Mm-hmm. But would that be acceptable to people as an answer? Of course not. Because then they would ask the next question. Well, why did he will
do
it?
that? Yeah.
Because it brings me glory. Okay. Well, that's going to generate another question.
A bunch of questions.
Right? So, which if you keep asking the questions over and over again, you're going to get ultimately to the main question, which is, what is the purpose of life? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, because really, anytime we're asking that question, that's ultimately the question we're asking, what is the purpose of life? Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what your major existential question is, you're never going to just ask one existential question. So whatever question that gets answered, you're going to ask another one, and eventually it's going to lead you to, why am I here in the first place? Mm-hmm. And if you can answer that question, then all other things like 9/11 and other things that happen become explicatory. Mm-hmm. So, like, that right there is it's a challenge that everybody has to deal with, but that's a real thing. But my thing is, I find it very hard to believe in a random, purposeless universe that we would be looking for purpose and meaning.
Yeah.
If randomness and purposelessness is king of existence, of ultimate reality, then why are we obsessed with having purpose and meaning? And why doesn't any of the other animals seem to have that problem? Mm-hmm. And again, there are aspects to that go against the goals of our evolutionary processes. Mm-hmm. People do all types of crazy things, like climb mountains and die at the peak of these mountains because they're trying to add meaning and purpose to life. It's been a common mental malady, I've now come to believe, among men, that going to war as a proving ground and things of that nature is, which vastly limits your ability to reproduce and procreate if you're blown to smithereens. So we have all of these tendencies as human beings that militate against survival and reproduction, which is the name of the game. And so now, here you go. You're looking for the answers to why you're here, because I believe all of us know instinctively we're not just animals. That's what I believe. I think the more and more, especially when I listen to metal music, I'm sorry, nobody believes that. You know what I'm saying? You're not listening to that solo and going, oh my God, and having this like moment, because, and again, when people say, oh no, that synapse is firing in the brain, no. That does not explain the qualia. It does not explain experience. Okay? So there's no explanation for that currently. So I'm not saying that means that you should abandon. I'm just saying that means you should be open to other things. I've been changing and redefining all the things I thought I knew. That's kind of what I'm going through right now.
Yep.
And I'm so excited about it. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited about the things that I've been learning scientifically, as well as psychologically with Jung, and the things I've learned from you. Like, I love living in a world right now where everything is up for grabs. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And like, now I'm like, no, justify all these basic presuppositions, all these things that we think are axiomatic, that are just obvious, we think are obviously true. Mm-hmm. It's like we said, it's like, color is a hallucination. You believe that you're stationary, you're moving. You believe that the sun moves up and down, it doesn't. You believe it looks like the earth is flat, it's not. Mm-hmm. Like, so then it's like, well, what other things am I looking at? Have I thought about the entire time that may not be true? I just listened to a guy with 2 PhDs say that the moon isn't there if we're not looking at it, and he's dead ass serious. Like, that is so fascinating to me. But what I've noticed with religious people is that most of the time when they go through something like this, I'm redefining all the things I thought they knew, they abandon their faith.
Yes. Yeah.
And a lot of Christians, when they comment on it, they warn people against deeper exploration of their faith, their ideas in science and things outside of the rubric of Christianity, because you're going to end up like so-and-so and whatever. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm so confused by that kind of,
fear.
Yeah, because I haven't felt as close to God in a long, long time looking at this stuff.
Yeah, I think that because of the way that your mind works in like patterns and stuff, that when somebody throws out a theory, you're automatically looking to see like, oh, is this true? And you're using the scriptures to base that off, like as basically like a baseline for it. And I don't think that a lot of people have sort of like a rigid understanding of what the Bible has to say. And so when you're only used to thinking of it in one like type of box, it's very difficult to see it outside of that box. But I think that your mind just like automatically translates that stuff to say, hey, this could be what that verse is talking about. I never considered that before. But I don't think everybody's mind does that. So when they hear these ideas, they actually sound like they're completely contrary to what we've been learning in the Bible. And then it scares them, because if it sounds like it perhaps is true, then that might mean that everything that I've ever believed in is false. And some people, don't want to think of a world where...
Yeah, but for me, like...
For you, you're seeing all these different things. It's exciting, it's eye-opening, it's door-opening.
I just say if I have an interpretation of the Bible that contradicts actual reality, then either my perception is wrong or that interpretation is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but you don't feel like you're going to be stuck in some dark hole that you can't figure your way out of.
If I had the wrong interpretation for something?
Yeah, and that you can't figure out what the right one is, and then you're kind of lost in it. Like a lot of people, they're not like, I mean, you're somebody that teaches. You're not somebody that only learns from being taught. Like there are some people that really, they're just not a teacher, and it's hard for them to, they learn from. So it's just difficult, and I think it's scary for people in that situation. And yeah. But I can understand how somebody like you, like the way that you're gifted, like you're a problem solver to get out of any sort of mental box that you're in. So whatever you figure out, it doesn't matter. Like nothing's going to shake your world. You're going to figure it out. Where not everybody has that level of confidence in their own selves to be able to.
Well, I'm not aware of confidence in myself to look at those things.
But you don't know what it is to fear that.
Fear what?
Because you automatically, it's like if somebody's blind and they might be afraid that they're going to get stuck somewhere because they can't see their way out of where they are. Well, you have eyes, so you're not going to be afraid if you go into a building, you're not going to be able to find your way out. But somebody who can't see...
You know what it is, honestly? I've had such personal and real moments with Jesus that any reality or any idea that would say that he's not real is just nonsense to me. So I'm not even afraid of that. It would be like if somebody were to say, like, technically, philosophically, I would have to justify your existence mentally. But I don't need to. Like, I've experienced you. So, like, I don't need all these theories and whatever to justify that you're around. And if somebody came up with a theory that said, Sori is really not there, which I don't believe that your physical presentation is here. But you, the essence of who you are, is here, whatever here is, right? So it's kind of like that. It's like, I'm so sure, I'm more sure of him than I am of you right now, especially now, scientifically speaking. I'm way more sure of him than you right now. So it's like I said, if I saw, like, it'd be like,
yeah, I can see that. That
looking
makes sense.
at advanced trigonometry or advanced whatever, the math that physicists have to master in order to do the basics of their job. Like, you're never going to find an equation that says 2 + 2 isn't 4. And that's kind of how I look at it. Like, at the fundamental level, like, Jesus is at the fundamental reality.
Yeah.
So anything that I really find out about reality is not gonna, I'm not afraid of that. So I hear what you're saying, but that's really what it is. It's just been my experience.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's just I've experienced being around him. And so it's like,
right.
So I'm not afraid of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not afraid of some new discovery. People are like, oh, what if the aliens show up? Like, I hope they show up. Like, for real. Like, that would, like, get rid of a lot of boredom for me. You know what I'm saying? The other people are like, well, it has theological implications. Like, sure it does, but I don't care what it is. I mean, Jesus still going to be at the center at the end of the day, so I don't care. But, yeah, that's, that whole thing about changing and redefining things is so fast. Since I've run into this channel, there have been so many things that I have now redefined and I've been reoriented and looking at it. And it's incredible. It's an incredible experience. But I also see that a lot of people, it's a traumatic experience for lots of people. Happy birthday to you, not Sarcast, Perk and us.
Happy birthday.
We got all the real OGs in the house today. We got Sarcast, we got Perk, we got Kai. Yeah. Really interesting. Like I said, the band is deep as hell. I feel bad, like with the religious stuff, but there's nothing I can do about it, dear listener. It's all in the song.
This part I thought had a sort of like sadness to it also when he says, I've been grasping at rainbows, hanging on till the end, but the rain is so real, Lord, and the rainbows pretend. Like, obviously, in this context, I think we're talking about the promises, rainbows being hope, blah, 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 and like, there's just a lot of rain.
And there's the whole thing about the, what's at the end of the rainbow, too, right? Like the
pot of gold.
The pot of gold, which is fictional. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a fictional thing, but yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give this one 9.8.
It's a 9.4 for me. It's a 9.4 for me. Only a couple songs remain, dear listener. Only a couple songs remain. The universe is a program running on a code, and so we're sitting here, an expression of this code, asking, but what is the truth, not being able to ever see the code, only the pixels it produces? Isn't there a quote or something saying something to the extent of everyone who could talk about this faith doesn't know real faith or something? There probably is, but not in my religion. Maybe a Gnostic would say that. I don't know, Perkinos. Check it out. Okay, guys. We got more coming for you very soon. Vid out.
Story out.
Boom. All right, guys. Commercial break. We shall return. I'm Vid.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy merch indeed, and y'all shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
Okay.
Yes, dear listener.
This is the last track, I believe, on the album. Let me just pull that up just to make sure I'm saying the right thing here. Believe. Yep. Okay. And let's see, the homie Mojo, DJ Mojo, has something to say to us. He speaketh. One thing about this song, if you listen to enough Savatage, you will discover that one of their favorite writing tools over the years is the use of callback, referencing lyrics or even just a topic that you've previously written about in a way that makes it obvious to an attentive listener that you are referencing a previous work. Metallica has used this a bit, but I don't think anybody has used it as much as Savatage. I may be mistaken, but Believe may be the first use of the callback in their catalog. Many of the lyrics after 303 in the link are a callback to the song When the Crowds Are Gone Off in their 1989 album Gutter Ballad. The second Savatage album produced by Paul O'Neill. Shoot, that stinks.
What?
Well, I thought they were gonna be referencing different stuff from this album.
Oh, and we'd be able
and
to
so
catch it.
I was like, this is gonna be so fun. Oh.
Well, that's too.
Still good for them.
That's too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's like when the Bible authors reference other books versus reference other
Verses right
sentences
there.
within the same.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Okay, dear listener, here we are. Believe by the band SAVATAGE.
Believe. We already heard the beginning of this one. It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. But there's a guy who came in here specifically for this song.
Oh, here you go.
Shout out to Sop with Snoopy, one of our first OGs. First of all, Snoopy, that's a damn lie. When you showed up, I interrupted the song and said, "What's good, Snoopy?" I did.
Why every time I see your name, I think of mowing a lawn? I don't know.
I don't know. Does Snoopy mow lawns?
I don't know. I don't know if it's because his icon is green or if he said something about mowing lawns years ago. I have to go mow my lawn and he left the stream. I don't know. Every time I see his name, though, that's all I think of is partially mowed grass.
Let's make it happen, beautiful people. SAVATAGE,
Let's go!
believe. Let's make it happen. Let's make it occur.
So after all these one-night stands, ended up with heart in hand, child alone on your own, retreating.
This is the kid coming out of the...
Regretful for the things you're not, and all the dreams you haven't got. Without a home, a heart of stone lies bleeding.
Wow.
And for all the roads you followed, and for all you did not find, and for all the things you had to leave behind. I am the way, I am the light, I am the dark inside the night. I hear your hopes, feel your dreams, and in the dark I hear your screams. Don't turn away, just take my hand.
This guy's voice is
When you
unbelievable.
make your final stand,
Unbelievable voice.
be right there, never leave. All I ask of you is believe. When you
That's how they ended the record, subhanAllah.
Well, it's a little bit confusing because when you look at this, like, there's 18 narration New York, don't mean nothing, narration to Can You Hear Me Now, Sleep, One Child, Somewhere in Time. I don't know if
I think that's probably like deluxe album, because remember he had said that they wanted to add all these narrations
to do
the story, so they probably did that. So
they ended it.
Yeah, because you see right there it says it would be New York, narration to New York don't mean nothing, which is like song over here or whatever.
Oh, right.
Remember?
There,
That's the
night
first
10,
song.
yeah.
That's the first song we started with.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, that voice, man, that voice is incredible. What an
See,
incredible...
I just want to, like, when the stream is done, I just want to get in the car and, like, just drive and listen to that kind of music, listen to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a...
Wow.
What a triumphant record.
Yeah.
A lot of themes about... Major theme in this song, in this thing was about broken dreams and the...
Realizing,
and the passage
like,
of time.
recognition. Yeah, and, like... looking at yourself for what's going on, like not hiding behind bullshit, whatever, but like, this is who I am, this is where I've been, this is where I am now, this is where I'm going, like, just a real honest look on it. Wow, what an emotional song that one was. I was like holding in a lot of crying.
What was so emotional about that?
Well, you know that verse that talks about the one that you know, like you remember something in your head, but then when you have to try to say it, it's like it doesn't. It's like something about bless these boys, but then he says, "May the angel that has been with me
my whole life long."
Yeah. Bless these boys. Like that idea that this angel that's been with him forever, like he wants that angel to bless his children, but like. We've heard this guy's whole story, like, in the album, and it's not like, I mean, he says it. So after all these one night stands, you've ended up with heart in hand, a child alone on your own, retreating, regretful for the things you're not, and all dreams you haven't got, without a home, a heart of stone lies bleeding. And for all the roads you followed, and not for all you did not find, and for all the things you leave behind. So, like, this idea, and again, like, I said this before, I think I said it on last night's stream, we were at the ocean, and I was thinking about the time period of my life where I've been the farthest away from God, and I wouldn't say that he was the farthest away from me. I would just say that I was far from him, because, you know, if you could be sitting in the same room as somebody, but if you've closed your heart off to them, you don't feel them. And, so it was like a really challenging and difficult and dark time of my life. And like, I left Vinny on the beach and I went in to go see if I could find a restroom. And when I was walking, like, there was just like, when you have that mindset that like everything's not really like real, even though it's like there, that whole thing, like, so I'm walking through this brightly lit thing and there's like all kinds of like t-shirts and they're trying to sell. It's just like merchandise. And it's like, in your face, kind of, because they really want to make the sale summer short here in Maine, so their little booth isn't open long. And so as I'm walking down and I'm just passing all this like meaningless stuff, meaningless junk, really, just has the name of the beach stamped on it, essentially. I was just looking at how just like useless all that stuff was and how it like doesn't really mean anything, with the backdrop of the channel, like this channel, and all the stories that we've heard from all the artists, and, you know, them coming to points where they were just so disgusted with themselves because of the lifestyle that they were living and how empty it was. And, you know, the concept that he brings up here, like a bunch of one night stands have left him, like he's got a heart of stone now. It's left him alone. And, like, obviously if we're just animals, then it doesn't matter. One night stands are no big deal. But if we're made for something higher and we're relationship oriented, then that makes sense that you need a home. And so, you know, Christianity, we talk about sex inside of marriage, but it's really more than just like a rule. It's like an understanding of human nature, that when you have a meaningful relationship and sex within that meaningful relationship, you have something really special. But these guys are experiencing it like, you know, on crack, because they've got like so many opportunities And so it fast tracks them to realizing in their 20s that this is so empty and all I have is a heart of stone with nothing really here. But yeah, like, and when I was walking down that thing with all the merchandise, I passed somebody that I've known for years. Well, distantly known. Like, I was never close to the person, but I'm closer with their parent. And like, you know, he walked by and, you know, he's lost basically everything. He lost his wife, his kids, blah blah blah, all that. And you know, he doesn't live a very healthy lifestyle. And so this beach that we were at, it's kind of like the hookup spot in Maine. You know what I mean? Like in the summertime, like that's where you would go, and there's like places to drink in there and stuff like that. And I just felt like that just a total emptiness of his pursuit. And I felt bad for him, you know, like when I passed him. But I know that everybody kind of has to live their own life and kind of come to that realization. Like, you can't cram that realization down somebody else's throat. Like, they have to come to that realization themselves. So yeah, so like in this song, you know, he's going through all of that. But then the next part, I am the way, I am the light, I am the dark inside the night. I hear your hopes, I feel your dreams, and in the dark I hear your screams. Like, that part was super, super meaningful to me. I mean, I guess without getting into too much detail, the nighttime was always pretty scary for me when I was a little kid. And, but I never told anybody I was scared. I always kept that to myself. My sister would ask me if I was scared, and I would say, no, I'm not scared. Because I felt like if I said the words, yes, I'm scared, that it was going to really terrify me. So I never said the words out loud. But at night I was oftentimes very afraid. Well, I remember one night in particular where it sounds so childish. But I was crying in my bed because I was scared, and I prayed because we went to church all the time. So I knew, like, I always had like this familiarity with Jesus, with God, you know, that he was there. But I needed him closer than just like there. And I remember I prayed and I said, if you're really here with me, will you hold my hand? And I was just like, I don't know, 3 or 4 or something like that. 5 maybe. I don't know. I was pretty small. And then I remember sticking my hand up into the darkness, and like for like a split second, I was like, well, what is this going to be? I mean, like, but then all of a sudden, like, I just felt like this real, like warmth, like someone was there. And it was like this odd feeling of even having your hand held, even though nobody was holding my hand, or no physical person. It was just a really crazy, like, little kid experience that always stuck with me. And I had told God too, I said, if you do this, I'll never question you. And so like when that part of the song was coming, like I hear, it just was very relevant. I just thought, you know, like for me personally, like that chunk of my life, because that was like a really meaningful night that, I mean, I remember all these years. I don't have a good memory. So obviously in the Bible, when Jesus talks, he says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And no man comes to the Father except through me. So when it says I am the way, I am the light, I am the dark inside the night. I liked that because you've got, I am the dark inside the night. And usually we're like, people are afraid of the dark. But it wasn't, I don't know. And in the dark, I hear your screams. Like there was like a closeness there. And then obviously the next part was, don't turn away, just take my hand, which is crazy because of the story I just told about taking my hand.
Yeah.
And when he says, and when you make your final stand, to me, that was like at the end of your life when, you know, push comes to shove. And like a lot of times people think if you're a really good person, that's what's going to make you right with God. And coming into this realization, like when you really look at yourself for who you are and you just don't hide behind any of the bullshit, you start realizing that that's an impossible dream, because we can't even, like, if we think about all the bad stuff that we've ever done, there's like a whole host of bad shit we've done that we don't even realize how bad it was. And we don't realize the effect that it had on people. Like sometimes you'll have something that really hurt you from like X amount of time ago. And finally you say something to the person has no freaking clue what you're talking about, because they don't even realize, you know, what they did. So, yeah, so that, like, just realizing that there has to be something else, like, and knowing that that something else is Jesus and the sacrifice that he did, like, And him saying, so to me it was like Jesus saying the way and the light was saying at the end, like, when you make your final stand, I'm going to be there. And then he says, all I ask is that you believe. And people have said for like a long time, like, wow, like, why, if he's going to save you or he's going to help you, why do you have to believe to make him do that? Like, why can't he just do it? But then sometimes I'm like, I don't know, maybe that's just a simple way of explaining, because it's not like he's just going to say like there is this sort of like, we're on the same team thing. And so like, maybe that's God's way of explaining to us in a way that we would understand, that because belief happens when you're there. You know what I'm saying?
I just think that we keep trying to make God a philosophy. I was in the shower and God was like, be careful you don't turn Jesus into a philosophy. Don't ever talk about the doctrine of the atonement. Jesus went to the cross. Don't talk about, like, especially as a, in the Western world, because of, Aristotle and Plato or whatever, Westerners truly believe that their mental cogitations are the best way of apprehending reality. Mm-hmm. But the closest thing I could say as to why God would say believe in me would be for the same reason that Billy Corgan would say believe in me. Right? So in the Smashing Pumpkins song, it's believe in me as I believe in you. When he's saying believe in me, what is he saying? Is he saying like, yes, mentally acquiesce to a bullet point groups of doctrines? No. What he's saying is, believe everything that I'm saying to you right now. We will crucify the insincere tonight.
Yeah.
Right? We'll offer up the night together. We'll make things right. We'll feel it up. Believe everything. Like, believe in me. So when Christ says believe in me, it's what every relationship requires that for it to function. Any organic, real relationship requires that belief. Or when I tell my sons, I believe in you, I'm not acquiescing to a bunch of bullet points about them. I'm saying, you're going to come through. We're depending on you for this, and I know you're going to come through for us. So when Jesus says believe in me, he's saying, oh, you got a bad call at work, believe in me, I'm going to carry you. Oh, you got a bad doctor's visit, believe in me, I'm going to carry you. Everything's a wreck, it's over, everybody's getting crucified, I'm going to carry you. And for a person who, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she basically said, everything for you is this cognitive here, facts here, data here, blah, blah, blah. And at the time, me and this person were at war, so I was like, typical. But that's what the Lord said to me. Like, I ended up having to apologize to that person. Because the Lord was like, your spirit was off here and here. And this warning that she gave, although in the moment you disregarded it, be careful.
A warning?
Well, she wasn't looking at it as a warning, but it was something that God really glommed on, because she was talking about everything's cognitive, facts here, numbers here, measurable there. Like, she's like, and that was used to get me to be like, yo, be careful that you don't just turn this into a group of
numbers, because
that's not your inner life. I don't relate to God in my inner life that way. But so it's very fascinating. But like, at the end of the day, to me, like, that's what the whole thing. Like, I love philosophy, obviously. I love science, obviously. I love like looking at things from all different kinds of perspectives. But at the end of the day, man, it just comes down to the fact that I've known this dude my entire conscious life, and he's stuck by me my entire conscious life. And I ran away from him. I tried to do everything I possibly can. And he stalked me and hunted me down every single time. And I know that I fuck up so much, so often. But it's like you said, where the Bible says, I write these things to you so that you won't sin. Then the next line is, but if we do sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. Subhanallah. And that's it. That's what when I say I believe in Jesus, I'm banking on the fact that when the prosecutor puts the giant fucking list of failures and whatever of mine out there, I'm gonna look at that list and say, holy shit, man, you got a really good case. The problem, I got a really good lawyer, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even just that. Like, it's also that friend who refuses to leave your side. You know, like, there is something beautiful, like all the horrible and the terror and the violence that we went through. There is something beautiful about you got an entire block of people coming after you, and your best friend knows that you guys are outnumbered and it's going to go really bad, and he stays next to you. There's something really beautiful about that. And that's been my experience with Christ. I've experienced it, whether I'm right or wrong. Whether I'm right or wrong. You know, I've experienced that, and I've experienced unconditional love. And there's a Troy, that movie Troy and Agamemnon was going because the guy, Hector's brother, was out there knocking out like the prettiest girl in the land, and Agamemnon was like, yo, okay, I'm gonna kill you. So, you know, he challenges him to a duel, and so Hector, as a big brother, is watching his little brother, and he's like, you know, stay to the right and do your best. And so Agamemnon starts beating the crap out of this guy's little brother, and Hector's just staying there, and Agamemnon's about to kill him. And then Hector jumps in and is like, I can't let you kill my brother, bro. And the guy's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? These are the rules. This is a duel. He's like, yeah, I know. Those are the rules, but I can't let you kill my brother, bro. I can't do that. You got to go on. And I'm like, that is Jesus. Those are the rules. By all the rules, I should be dead 50 times over. And so many times he showed up and said, yeah, I know he's wrong. I'll handle him myself, but you can't touch him. You can't touch him. And he's been like that with me forever. And, you know, all the philosophizing, I can argue, I can do all of that. But in my inner life, I've truly and really experienced that so many times. And so it's just that for me. You know what I'm saying? It's that's what he means when he says believe. Mm-hmm. You know, like, for most of us, it's not even about science or evolution that keeps us from believing. It's just plain old, we've been disappointed too many times, and we don't want to believe something that's too good to be true. You know? So, we're all orphans in the orphanage.
Yeah.
Holy shit, what a band, what a song. This song is an actual 10 for me.
Oh, me too.
What a crazy record. We do have another song, so like we're talking like the show is over. The show is not over, but I just wanted to camp out about this record, Mojo. Holy shit, I love the DJ stream so much. I love all the new bands that we get introduced to, but I gotta say, man, this is one of the best experiences I've had on the channel, just because I found a singer who is unbelievably moving to me, and I think if we listen to this guy, you'll get some great ideas too, like sonically. That's another thing that popped in my head. I'm like, yo, I've been having her listen to a lot of girls. Like, this guy, like, there's just so many avenues that just opened up. Mojo, everybody type 22 for Mojo. Just really, really good record. Like I said, don't go anywhere because we got more to come. But to close out this record this way is unbelievable. 10. That album overall for me is a 9.8 album overall for me. Really good writing. Unbelievable writing. Sarcast says emotions and thoughts are separated for a reason. You can spend your whole life trying to find the words for all you feel, and you won't be able to do it. Yeah, that's why the guitar has always been such a gift to me, and why I relate to it as a very close friend. You know, that guitar helps me say things that I can't say. Helps me say a lot of things that I cannot say, that guitar. So, yeah. For real. All right, guys.
We'll be right back.
Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone. Okay, guys, commercial break. We got one more. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get matched down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch. Buy our merch indeed, and a child shall lead them. All right, you guys, last song on the stream is called Alone You Breathe. It's Chris's song. And I am going to read the write-up when Vinny gets here. So that way he doesn't miss out on anything. Any of the awesome details. Seriously, you guys, this stream has been very, 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 very good for me. Mojo, thank you so much for putting this together and for making this possible. Honey, you ready? Yeah, very interesting. Mojo, this last song, and maybe you're going to say it in the write-up, this is, what album is this off? I don't know. It's probably going to say it in your thing. So we'll just wait and see what it says there. Did you guys, how does everybody feel about how the streams have been going these last two streams? Like, what do you guys rate the album listens from today and tomorrow? Like, overall album, what do you guys give it?
Today and yesterday.
Did I say tomorrow? Yesterday and today. All right. Okay, so I'm going to read I told them to put their 10 out of 10. Nice. Yeah, okay, so last song on the stream, Alone You Breathe, Chris's song. Chris Olivia was killed by a drunk driver while driving to a gig not far from his hometown in the Tampa Bay, Florida area on October 17th, 1993. His wife was in the car with him. His wife, though terribly injured, survived, but Chris was killed instantly. The driver of the other car had 7 prior DUI convictions. At the time, SAVATAGE was in a pre-production for their next record. After a period of mourning on the first day of rehearsals following Chris's death, when bassist John Lee Middletown walked into the studio, the first thing he saw was Chris's guitars and rigs set up in the studio as if he was coming in to record a take. He decided he was not ready to resume working on another record. Drummer Steve "Doc" Washoltz left the band temporarily after the previous record for personal reasons and decided not to return after Chris's death. This left John alone to push forward. John wrote the album and played all the bass and drum parts. He shared rhythm guitar parts with Paul O'Neill. Zach Stevens, who was hired as the band's frontman after John stepped down, came back to sing vocals as he had only been in the band a short time. And they brought Alex Skolnick from Testament in for lead guitar. Oh, wow. Alex, a friend of the band and not in Testament at the time, agreed to record one record and do one tour to help his friends get back on their feet. Some of the lyrics for Alone You Breathe were written years before Chris was killed about a friend of John's. It was an unfinished song, and John realized he couldn't play the song without thinking about Chris. John finished the song, put it on this record, and dedicated it to his brother. While some of the lyrics in the first half of the song are clearly not about his brother, the second half was written 100% about Chris. In the years since this song was recorded, when it has been performed, John does not refer to it with the name given on the record. He always refers to it as Chris's song. I think it's a fitting song to end the stream with. I have to say one thing about Zach Stevens' performance on the song. One of the hardest things for any vocalist to do is to take the words of someone else has written, internalize them, and make a connection so that they can sing them with the same conviction as the person who wrote them. Zach had only known Chris for a short time, and he does a superb job of emoting the pain, anger, and despair John must have been feeling when he wrote those words. Thank you, Sori, for reading all of this, and thanks to everyone for listening.
All right, guys. Chris's song. Let's just do it that way. This is Chris's song, dear listener. Rest in peace to the homie. And yeah, let's do it. What was the name of the song again?
It's called Alone You Breathe.
I do have it. Go.
Of us is now in exile, which in need of amnesty. Are you now but an illusion? In my mind alone you breathe. You believed in things that I will never know. You were out there drowning, but it never showed. Till inside a rain-swept night just let go. You've thrown it all away, and now we'll never see the ending to the play. Final line, and what was meant to be. In the dark, a distant runner now has disappeared into the night, leaving us to stand and wonder, staring from this end into your life. In things that I will never know. You were out there drowning, but it never showed. Till inside a rain-swept night you just let go. You've thrown it all away, to the play. The grand design, final line, and what was meant to be. he's the calling of a sun, but now it's falling as the feathers of his life fall free. Can you see? Tomorrow's newborn eyes, or could it be? We'll never know. And after all, this was the show. What am I to do? Gotta get back, gotta get back, gotta get back. What am I to do? Gotta get back, gotta get back. Gotta get back. What am I to do? Standing on a dream isn't what it seems. Could we then reclaim a dream refused? Knowing what we know, could we let it go? Realizing that all the years are used. Tomorrow and after, you tell me what am I to do? I stand here believing that in the dark there is a blue. I am the way, I am the light, I am the dark inside the night. I hear your hopes, I feel your dreams, and in the dark I hear your screams.
Have you ever seen that before? Where they take a chorus and use it in two different songs?
Well, that's what he was saying, that they do more than everybody. Remember, they had done that before. We didn't recognize it because we didn't know the other albums, but
yeah, I thought it was just like, you remember we listened to, okay, I don't remember who it was, but they it was basically like in the song they found a strategic way of adding in band names. And the whole song. Then there was another one where it was like band songs and stuff like that. Like, I didn't know they literally used like a chunk of a chorus from another song and put it in here.
Unforgiven, I think.
Was it a very meaningful part of the song? Like, obviously, that was such a significant part of the song for us.
Probably not at that level.
Like, this is like, and where he brings it into this song, like, it's at the ending. It's Chris's song. Like, wow, that was just.
Yeah, like I probably couldn't be in the band anymore either. I just
that's just too much.
It's just tough. But honestly, no, that was a very spiritual record that we listened to just now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, we were talking about this yesterday, where I'm like, what is the point of that? Like, because the girl, Dawn, that was in the car, like, no disrespect to her, but she survived.
His wife, yeah.
the guy that did it with the 7 DUIs, he had minor injuries, and Chris is killed instantly. And I was just like, yo, man, like, I hate situations like that. And then you had talked about how, look, if that rose awareness so that, I don't know, God knows how many people would have thought twice about drinking and driving, then that was worth it. And so it's like, yeah,
and here's another angle too.
You know,
the spiritual record that comes out
right
of that.
Right. So, you know, it must be really difficult to. I really, you know, salute the hell out of the brother for continuing the band, because I just wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah. Especially considering, like, there's nothing you can really do to the person that did it because he's in police custody, obviously. Mm-hmm. So you can't, you know, there's no real way to square that situation. Mm-hmm. But it was crazy because I did some research on the guy that had done it, and after he got locked up in prison, because I wanted to, like, look at his life and be like, what lessons did you learn? Yeah. He became a teacher, but then he got jammed up again for driving without a license or whatever, which probably they had probably permanently suspended his license. But under the comment section, people were like, yo, that's my teacher. I'm so disappointed. Yeah. And you could tell that the students didn't know what this guy actually did because nobody mentioned the band. So that tells me, like, they just knew him as just a guy. Yeah. And he had a shot at starting over regular and living his life after he did his time, and somehow he's able to become a teacher, figure that one out. And it's just one of those things where, like, his past, you know, I mean, I guess you're in Florida, you gotta drive, right? Like, public transportation. It's just a crazy situation, man.
I'm just glad that, like, it wasn't another DUI. He was driving without a license, which is legal. He shouldn't have been doing that. Sure, yeah. But there was no influence, and he had done the teaching thing, and, you know, I don't know why he was behind the wheel. You know what I mean? I lost my license once when I was a teenager for, like, I don't know, really? 30 days or 3 months or something, and it was horrible. It was so frustrating, so stressful, having to rely on everybody around you, and so, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah. So if he would have been drinking and driving, I'd be like, wow, you literally didn't learn your lesson. But he's like, look, I crashed because I was under the influence, and I'm not going to do that again because I'm not under the influence. I need to use my car or whatever. So, and the fact that he went to be a teacher, and that if you have students that are like, oh, that was my teacher, I don't, you know, like, that to me sounds like he had a positive influence on them, because it's not like they were like, yeah, fuck that guy. You know what I mean? Like, they were like, this is my teacher. I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure he wanted to separate himself from. That's crazy to have to.
Yeah. When asked for a comment about Chris, his father said he lived for that guitar, referring to his love for the guitar. I'd go over to his home for a visit, and no matter what he was doing, on the phone, eating dinner, Chris would always have that guitar in his hands. You know, like, yeah. He just, I remember when I first, yeah, these guys are super spiritual. So the wife also died recently. She died in 2005.
What year did he die?
He died in 1996, I think it was.
Oh, she still went almost 10 years without him.
What?
That would have been, what, 9 years?
Yeah. She was only 41.
That's freaking crazy. What happened?
I don't know.
When it said,
yeah, they were separated by 12 years. They don't know why. I mean, look, it's a sad story, but at the same time, these guys are obviously aware of the spiritual world, and so, like, I'm not gonna be a downer about it. I mean, they're together now. I'm very, very confident that man and wife are together now. It is what it is. Chris died in 93, so it was 12 years. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Okay. When this part I thought was, like, just, like, interesting, kind of the way that it hit me. In the dark, a distant runner now has disappeared into the night, leaving us to stand in wonder, staring from this end into your life. Mm-hmm. Like obviously the distant runner thing that was like pretty sad, that part of it. But then when he said leaving us to stand in wonder staring from this end into your life, I was like, wow, like, yeah, that's true. Like there is a certain, so like when a child is born and you're looking at their little face, you're like, there's so many hopes and dreams. Like their life is not there. It's just like just there. You know what I mean? Like you're just seeing them for the first time and you're looking into their face, but you see like the line goes out beyond them. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, when you have somebody that's fully grown, like I experienced this time in your life with you, but I look to your past and then I look to your future and, you know, you kind of try to make this is Vin, you know? But then, you know, when somebody passes away, like the line stops from your perspective. And so now you're looking into their life from that angle and you're trying to, you know, like what happened, what, you know, and you see things differently, like, you know, and like, I think that when the person is there, like sometimes people are talking to me and I'm like, yo, you never stop talking. And I'm not really interested in this topic, you know, like sometimes, you know, but then it's like, but when you lose somebody, I think that you would wish that you could have all those conversations back to hear all the details that you missed. You know, what was it that they were trying to communicate? What did it mean behind their words? What did, you know, like all the thinking that, you know, that could be done, but you're just so overwhelmed. There's so much going on in life. And like, the brevity of life sometimes doesn't really, like, it's not necessarily a part of, I mean, these guys were rocking hard, you know, the band was right in action. There's a lot going on for them. And so you wouldn't expect that all of a sudden on the way to the show that was going to happen. And then all of a sudden everybody is thrown into this new reality where the person is no longer with you. And like, man, I don't know. That's just, so yeah, staring from this end into your life was just like an interesting, like.
Yeah, this is a silent count for me because looks like his, basically they said she was found dead in her apartment, and then John, Chris's brother, said basically ever since his death she's had a very, very hard time with his loss, and hopefully she finds a peace that she wanted, which indicates that considering how young she was.
I wonder who was driving, her or him.
Yeah, she never recovered. She never really recovered from losing Chris, and I think her injuries from the crash were significant. Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, at this
because
point,
even if there's
it's complete speculation, but if you put two and two together the way he talked about it, she's only 41 years old. I mean, God.
If you, like, if we were driving in a car together and a drunk driver crossed the line and I was the driver and I lived and you didn't.
Yeah, I hear you. I know. So anyway, again, we knew it was going to be a little bit heavy, but you know, it just goes to show, guys, that the people that we have in our lives are gifts, and we shouldn't take them for granted. And don't love your friends and your partner extra hard because you're terrified they're going to die tomorrow. Just love them just because, and enjoy it. Be in the moment, and understand that collection of consciousnesses that you call your friend or your wife or your husband or your whatever. It is an amazing thing. It's an honor to be able to see another one of us, much less get to know and have that person dedicate a good portion of their consciousness to you. Because essentially, that's all you're doing in a relationship. You're saying, let's interface consciousnesses and experience the same things together. That's all a relationship is. So if you've got somebody that's like committed to doing that with you in all its various forms, whether friendship or marriage or brother or sister or whatever it is, that's a beautiful thing, and don't take that for granted. It's a silent count for me.
Silent count for me as well. You know what's one thing that's interesting, like when you're thinking about like the consciousnesses, I think that a lot of times in relationships, I'm probably speaking primarily about marriage because it's a commitment that you make to each other. And there's sort of a contract, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a friendship where there's no contract, there's no nothing. It's just you both enjoy each other, and so you know, you take up the same space together because you just like each other. But like in a marriage, I think that sometimes people can get lost in the fact that, like, well, you hear people say it like, well, we're still together. We stayed together for the kids. Yeah. But you're really, really missing the point. And I think that the thought of like multiple consciousnesses within one consciousness, and like the multiple sides of a person or the world inside of you, when you start discovering that for yourself, all that is within you, and you see more of who you are, and you understand things and how it connects to your past and how it connects to why you reacted a certain way to something. And like the idea of recognizing that world, and then recognizing that the other person is more than just what they project out and what they like, how they react in a situation, but that there's a whole world going on inside of them, just like in you. Mm-hmm. And then saying like, okay, like, in this brief time that we have together on Earth, like, how much of my consciousness can I open up to you, and how much can you open up to me, so we can really, really get to know each other, I think is probably the goal. But I think it's a lot of times missed because people are just trying to survive the being in the same vicinity as the other person sometimes, you know, like
survive.
Yeah, and I don't think that people realize, like, I think that because we like dwindle somebody down to something so small, and then you're annoyed with their little quirks, and they're annoyed with yours, and like the environment can, like, I noticed that like a lot of marriages, like the environment gets like toxic, like 2 kids, you know what I mean? Like without a parent there to say, yo. So I don't know. It's just a funny thing. And so I like the idea of the consciousness thing where, we can kind of like, there's more to explore. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
And it does explain, like, because I was always confused as to why, like there was sometimes like, there's like a part of me that's like, yo, you're really annoying me right now. And then there's like a part of me that's like, yeah, but let's still do something together. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then it kind of like explains some of that stuff, you know, like, anyway.
And there's old monster.
Well, I don't know if that's like, that's probably, Reza.
Yeah, he's okay. They're probably arguing over the cover.
Well, that's a cry that is unfamiliar to me.
He's okay, I promise you.
I think Zoe's going in there. So
stop with Snoopy. Do I hear kids in the background? You hear
a child.
A child.
But you know, he has the vocal.
Shout out to the big homie Mojo. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're a little bit long today, guys. Sorry, but this was, you know,
it had to be. It had to be.
It had to be this way.
Wow. Definitely really, really enjoyed this whole thing. The conversation was really good. Yeah. It was eye-opening. It felt like we were in, it was like,
heart-opening, too.
Yeah, heart-opening. Yeah, it was. And it just felt like it just had, like, this, I don't know, this therapeutic angle. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I really, really am glad that all of us were able to experience it together, and that, you know, we had some repeat people in the comment section that were here for both days.
Yeah,
and,
shout
like,
out to
I don't know. It's just it's an experience.
Yeah, Jazakallahu khair ya Ibn Omar.
Thanks for sharing your consciousness with us today.
Yes, thank you for sharing your consciousnesses with us today, ladies and gentlemen. That's a real talk. I really, really appreciate that. That's what we're about. That's what we're about. That's what we're about.
I mean, I would have stayed 3 more hours with you.
You'd hit your limit at about 4.5. Yeah, Ibn Omar. You would reach your limit. You'd be like, you know what?
Don't worry.
That's
there's
how
more.
They say it in Britain. They'd be like, you know what?
You know what?
Yeah, you know what? That's when they're about to say some real shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what? I'm like, this British person about to do some shit on my leg.
Yeah.
You know what? So, anyway, shout out to all you beautiful people. Shout out to the big homie Mojo.
Marco,
Marco,
you missed the whole thing.
Marco, you were early for tomorrow, inshallah.
Yes,
tomorrow. You're early for tomorrow. Gotham is yours.
Sorry.
I hate when people do that, bro.
Did I miss it? Well, what are you asking?
Did I miss it? And then one time Jay jumped. He's like, I'm here. I was like, we were literally about to hit finish on the thing.
That depends. Did you show up just to see us say Vin out, sorry out?
Right.
You
If you showed up to see the outro, you're just in time.
You made it.
You made it. Shout out to Marco and the person on his shoulders. That is dual. It looks like it's dual. Okay. Right. So we got streams scheduled for what's today? Tuesday. Do we have a stream scheduled tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow is what's the day here? Yeah, tomorrow is these. If when we're gonna get that done.
Yes,
so yeah,
okay,
it should be tomorrow.
Should be
and
tomorrow.
Then we have another one the day after, and we have another one on Friday as well. So
we have one on Friday.
Yep, this homie.
Which homie?
Gabe is on Friday.
All right, Gabe is on Friday. Excelente, excelente. All right, guys, we have to get out of here. Vin out.
Sorry out.